Yo, is the mic on, mic? Into that mic on, mic, and pour us another one. Let's do it right though, Mike. We feeling nice though, Mike. Gather round, gather round. Into that mic on, mic. Into that mic on, mic. Yeah, Garage Drinks with Mike. Woo!
Thank you so much for having me here, and for the
you.
beautiful food. And
He made it.
but she's the boss, so you gotta thank the boss.
That's exactly right. That's exactly right.
Okay, see ya.
Thank you. Awesome, brother. Alfred, welcome to the garage.
Hey,
Thank you, Toko.
thank you for having me. Cheers.
All good. Is that all right?
Yeah, it's refreshing.
Do you know what that is?
No.
No idea. That's a seltzer. Seltzer's like a beer, but it's real low calorie.
Right.
So just keep it in mind.
Okay.
Just keep it in mind. Yeah. So it's like, I think they're like a new thing.
Right.
They're brought out, but they're real low calorie. So I use them to
You
sip
do it
on
low calorie because all the
for,
CrossFit.
for all the training and stuff. Yeah. Well, it helps because
Sorry to interrupt.
Yeah.
Do you have your own phone?
yes, I do. Do you need
I
it?
need it.
Okay.
Remember?
Oh yeah. We did
Yeah,
we did a
that's
phone
my
swap
phone.
around. There you go.
Thank you. Your work phone's out here.
Okay.
Sorry. Okay. Bye.
Sweet as. Yeah, bro. See, that's the good thing about a podcast is that you're not live or anything, and I don't even mind leaving that stuff in.
Yeah. Why not? Because that's the reality. That's real,
Yeah.
right?
I had John Pulu on last week,
I saw that.
and the phone rang.
Yeah.
Yeah, the phone.
missed
She
that
called
bit.
me. Well, she called me like about over 2 hours into it, and yeah, I had forgot to put it on silent. But yeah, I really like the medium of podcasts.
Right.
It's really good to have you. You came on a Sunday afternoon,
Yes.
so I thought I'd make you a little bit of curry.
Ooh.
So like, feel free to go for it. And I know, because you're the man of the mics, and you're used to being behind a mic, and you're like, this is kind of stupid that you're giving me food when I'm trying to talk and stuff.
No.
But honestly, bro, just go for it. Just eat, and when you are eating, I'll talk to cover you. Okay. See,
It smells good.
already got this.
I got the text whilst I was at church,
Ah,
and I showed my wife, and I was like, I know what I'm having.
yeah.
Yeah, at lunch. I don't know what you guys are having. And she was like, oh gosh, can I come? I was like, no. It was for me and Mike.
Yeah, so this is something a little bit different. I've homemade, the curry's all like made from scratch.
Yep.
The naan is from like a local Indian shop.
Oh right. I was gonna say I was pretty impressed that you'd made your own naan, man. Like
Nah. Have you come across? Nah, wouldn't be many islanders that can make their own.
nah,
Yeah.
but you would have been the first if you did say yes.
Nah, man.
So
nah.
yeah, no.
But I used to, like
I love
years
naan.
ago, I used to live with a Indian guy, and he's from India, and man, he used to make the best curry.
Yeah.
And so I was like, bro, you have to teach me how to do this. And so he taught me, and so the curry I make's a little bit different to like your normal sort of Pacific
Okay.
Island curry.
Yep. Okay, I'm just gonna dip this.
Ki peke atu pe.
Yeah, man.
Tastes different. It's different to what we normally have, eh?
Yeah.
Because this guy was from Hyderabad in India, and they make it like real spicy but flavorful.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Wow. It's got a kick, eh?
it's got a kick, bro.
As soon as you put it in, it's like boom.
Yeah,
But it's not too fifisi where it's like, you give me a drink.
yeah.
It's just kind of nice.
Yeah,
Wow, it's not
something different.
something nice. Jesus. My daughter will be jealous. She loves curries.
Oh, right.
Mm.
Do you normally have it like that though?
Just rice, curry,
Oh, yeah.
naan.
Where's your curry spot? Everyone's got their own curry spot.
Oh, there's a place in Royal Oak, kind of close to where we are,
Yeah.
right next to the KFC. But it's quite mamafa, but
Oh,
we go
okay.
there every now and then. I can't remember the
By
name.
the KFC in Royal Oak.
Royal Oak, by the roundabout.
Yeah, the big one.
Yeah, big roundabout.
Which place?
There's an
Is
Indian
it
place.
by the liquor store?
No, across the road from the liquor store.
Okay.
So literally right next to
Okay.
KFC. Anyway, that's
That's your spot.
yeah. That's what I mean. I've had some horrible curries as well.
Right. Yeah.
Like,
Well, you get pretty fussy after a while.
oh
eh?
man,
Bro, there's another place in Sandringham.
You've-
Paradise.
oh yeah.
You've been there before?
By the lights.
Yeah.
I haven't been there because it's
Go
so
there,
busy.
bro. Yeah.
But you
yeah.
see it, it's quite flash.
Yeah.
It's like, ooh,
It's
okay.
really good. It's really good. I've been there a couple of times.
Okay.
Because it's hard to find it like kind of spicy. I mean, spicy but flavorful, if you know what I mean. And then, bro, there's some places, I know what you mean when you say you try some bad curries.
Yeah. Like I had one that was like, it was
Water.
almost like it was just water.
Yeah, bro.
I was like,
Yeah.
hey, yo, what is this?
Powdered.
Yeah.
I reckon it comes out of a powder.
Yeah.
Come across that in Papatoy. I won't name any names.
Yeah, we
I had
weren't-
one last week, Papatoy, and I was like, ooh, it's a bit of waste of money.
Okay. Yeah. No, never again. Eh?
Yeah. But you said you're at church today,
Yes, I was.
every Sunday.
I try to make it every Sunday.
Nice, Taco. Yeah.
Mm.
Oh, that's awesome. And you have also 4 kids.
Yes.
Beautiful.
Yeah, they keep us busy.
They would keep you busy.
Mm.
How old are what's your age range of children?
Our eldest is 19 this year. Our twins are 16,
Damn.
and the youngest is 12.
16-year-old twins.
Yes, and the girls.
Wow.
No, that's kidding.
That'll be full on. That'll be full on.
It is.
Well, whether it was girls or boys, I suppose it'd always be full on. But you're still here. You're alive.
I'm
you're
still
well.
here.
You're in one piece.
I don't have any hair under this,
Hey, Taco, neither do I.
hence the reason. But no, the kids are great. The twins, they're both very different. Personalities have been. It was obvious what their personalities were going to be when they came out of the womb.
They're opposites,
Opposites.
but are they
Height.
identical?
No.
No.
One's tall, one's short. One's dark, one's
Yeah.
very fair. But we wouldn't have any other way.
Yeah.
We forget that they're twins.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's not until their friends like,
Because they're so different.
yeah, they're so different. And then when we're around their friends, they're like, oh yeah, mum and dad, we're gonna go with the twins. I went, twins? Oh, our daughters. Yeah. So we wouldn't have it any other way.
What was that like when they were like babies? Was that full on?
You know what?
I mean, I got kids, but
Yeah.
I've never had twins.
Yeah.
So I don't know what that will. I assumed it would be really full on with nappies and stuff.
It
And
was
two at the same time.
full noise
Yeah.
the day I found out that my wife was having twins. Like I had to change my whole way of thinking. We already had a son. But we were like, okay, we're planning for another baby. And I get a call at work. She's like, yeah, I've got a problem. I said, what do you mean? She says, it's not one problem, it's 2. I said, huh? She said, I'm having twins because I missed a scan. And from that phone call, the rest of my life changed. I knew.
Wow.
Yeah.
When you have twins.
Yeah. Well, just because I was thinking in my head, we were planning for another child, just one more. And then when we were having 2, it's like, oh my gosh, we're going to buy a new car. I've got to change where I work. Because I was working over the shore at the time. I was working for Sony.
Right.
And then I had to leave. I was like, oh, look, I've got to be closer to home because we live in South Auckland. We're living in Māngere. And I had to travel to the shore every day. And I was fine. I was happy with it. It was cool. But, once the announcement of the twins came, had to buy a van, had to buy car seats and all the rest. So, yeah, your whole way of thinking changes.
And then once they're born.
Oh, my gosh.
Yeah.
Once they're born, it's
Sorry, what's the gap between your oldest son and your twins?
2 years.
2 years. Oof. So you got a 2-year-old
Yeah.
and newborn twins.
Yep.
That's full on.
Yeah,
That is full on. Yeah.
lots of life changes. But it made, it really matures you real fast. I mean, I changed when my son was born.
Yeah.
But then it was taken to another level when the twins were born.
Yeah. Well, congrats, bro.
Thank you.
Do you feel like it's at a good place at the moment, being a parent?
I think it is. We still yell at them. Like we're yelling at them this morning to get up for church.
Yeah.
It's like, oh my gosh, it's like Groundhog Day. Every Sunday is the same.
Every
thing.
Sunday is the same
Guys,
thing.
Nothing changes on Sundays.
Yeah.
So I think we're good. But my wife, she's definitely the harder one out of the 2, out of us both. But we're in a good place.
Nice. And you've been in Māngere for many years now, eh?
Yeah.
Yeah.
275.
Wow. How long you been there? Since your twins were born or way before that?
Look, my parents migrated to New Zealand in the 60s. So we've been here for a long
Oh my gosh.
time.
Same house?
No. So they, like most islanders during that time, were in Ponsonby and Greyland.
Right.
And then when things started to happen and our families were getting either pushed out west or pushed south, we went south.
Right. And so you would have come out in the 80s or 90s?
So we came, I think Dad originally bought the house in like 74,
Right.
75. So I was born into the house.
Damn.
Yeah.
Are you still in the same house?
Yeah. Oh no.
Different house.
We
You bought your own house.
My wife and I bought the family house, and we bought the house next door a couple of years ago.
I see.
I say actually more than 10 years ago. Then we ended up deciding, okay, do we develop it? This is about 5 years ago. And then we spent a bit of money and developed on plans and consents. And then when the bank said, oh no, it's going to take you another 5 years to get all of this off the ground, we're like, oh my gosh, we just spent like, I don't know, X amount of dollars on this whole project.
Right.
Our kids are getting older. My old man's getting older. And we were living in a 3-bedroom house that was quite old and run down. And we, I was like, oh, we just want to give Dad the best rest of his life as possible. So we decided to sell up. And then, bought a big brand new house in Mangere Bridge, which is only 5 minutes away.
Yeah.
So we still feel like we're part of the neighborhood. And we haven't looked back ever since.
That's a nice area.
Yeah, it's good.
Very, very hard for people to get into the area now. Yeah.
Yeah, so very, very grateful and thankful that we were able to do that. The old man is living his best life, I guess.
That's
just
awesome.
with us and the dog. And oh, sorry, I forgot to mention the dog. We got a dog as well.
Yeah, well, that'd be a whole new family member, eh?
Yeah.
We used to have a cat. We got rid of the cat.
Oh, right.
It was too much. It was
Really?
just too much, yeah.
Wow. I thought cats would be pretty easy to kind of manage.
Well, it kept like jumping on the table and stuff, and every time we're having dinner or having lunch, or it would be biting our feet.
Yeah.
And at the time we were staying in a place that was quite small, and so with 4 kids, it was just the cat had to go.
What?
Yeah.
I'm not really a cat person. I don't mind pets, but I'm not I won't gravitate towards a cat.
I'm not a pet person.
Oh, right.
I'm not a pet person at all. I don't think I could do even a dog. We had a couple of goldfish.
Oh,
they died. Rest in peace.
So what happened?
Well, apparently, if you have goldfish or if you have fish that you keep in water, you need to. That's why when you go to the goldfish shop or the pet shop and you're looking at the goldfish, there's always air that's pumping through those tanks because the air has to be oxygenated.
Right.
And unlike when you see in comic books and stuff where there's just a goldfish bowl, that's not a real thing. Because I tried it.
Right.
They died. Yeah. But yeah.
Funny story. One of my best mates, Tonga. His name was Andy Tonga. I hope you're watching this. But anyway, when he was living here in New Zealand, I know almost 10 years ago, in his garage, not too much bigger than this, he had a fish tank from that side of the door to that side of the door.
Really?
Honest. Oh no, I'm not lying.
He had a thing about fish.
I don't know where he came up with
massive.
It was huge, and then he got to the point where he was buying all this exotic fish, and then he had to put heaters in the tank, and then we'd go.
It's a full-on commitment.
I know.
Yeah.
But he was single at the time.
Yeah.
He was single at the time, so we'd all go over and he would have the flashlights.
Yeah.
We'd have drinks.
Pretty cool though, eh? Having drinks with the fish.
Yep. And he'd be party tricks. Watch this. He'll throw something in. See this fish. And then he got a girlfriend.
Oh.
And the fish slowly started dying. How many Tongan guys do you know do that?
I don't know any Tongan guy that's got a fish tank.
He's different. He's different. Our mate.
You still have a fish tank?
Well, he got rid of the fish, and then he couldn't. And then I think he left home. He moved out of the place that he was living in, and then the fish tank ended up being at our house in our garage in Mangere with no fish.
So he left it at your house.
He left it. He was like, "Oh, we'll do something with it." And then, I don't know, maybe 5 years later, I should have put on Trade Me or something. But
yeah.
And then we were getting rid of the house. We were selling our house. I was like,
do you want your fish tank, bro?
When in the Veve, it was. Sorry, Andy. But you live in Australia now, so don't worry about it.
Yeah, I don't know too many islanders that have a fish tank.
Yeah, but yeah, our mate Andy is very, very different, and we love him that way.
Hey, bro, so talk to me. You've had a really long career as DJ, which is really awesome. How did all this start for you? Because way back in those days, were many islanders wanting to do what you wanted to do?
I'd say yes, but it was just hard in terms of access.
Yeah.
like
Was it classified at that time as like would your parents have seen it as like a real career?
Nah.
Yeah.
Nah. They would have said, "Mom, taimi," you know. It would have been like that. But yeah, back in my time, it was just access. We couldn't get hold of gear
Equipment.
because it was so expensive, really expensive. Like one turntable would have been like, I don't know, $1,000. I mean, you try to tell a 16-year-old for one, you needed two.
Yeah.
We're gonna get $2,000 to buy a turntable. So, and it's still the same price or a bit more. But nowadays with technology,
Yeah.
you pretty much can
Make stuff on a laptop.
your phone, your laptop. If you've got a passion for music, your world's an oyster.
Yeah.
So yeah, in terms of lots of guys or islanders in my time,
Yeah.
I'll be straight. If you had turntables, you probably would have got it a funny way.
Yeah.
If you know what I mean, like,
Yeah.
or you would have had some cool parents that were able to fork out. And I know one DJ in particular, his mum took a HP on turntables for him,
Right.
and he made a living off it
Right.
to this day. So
It's a good investment.
Oh, it's a great investment. If
Yeah.
you do it right, you'll go far. So yeah, back in our time, it was only a handful of guys that wanted to do it or that could do it, or you were always borrowing something from somebody else. It was like, oh, can I borrow that record? Can I borrow that mixer? Can I borrow that turntable? And then slowly you try and build your money base to try and invest in your own gear.
Yeah.
Or if you had a mate that had access to stuff that fell off the back of the trucks, then you.
What was the moment that you were like, I think I could give that a go? Like, how old were you?
I would have been 13.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah. I remember the moment, and I believe in lots of moments.
So you heard a track, you heard something.
Nah,
No?
I saw. It was my sister's 21st. My older sister, not Soana, my other sister Joyce, rest her soul. It was her 21st, and I loved the fact that the DJ that was at her party was sitting in the corner of the room, and he basically controlled the whole room.
Yeah. Right.
And I was like, wow. And just body movements, I was like, this one guy is kind of dictating what everyone's doing, whether they're drinking more, or whether they're dancing more, or whether they're talking more. And I was like, wow, that's an amazing skill. And because he was able to read the room.
Control the vibe.
Yeah.
The vibe of the room.
Yeah. So from 13, that's why I wanted to do it. I was like, wow, you know, what a cool skill to have. So yeah.
Run the party.
Run the party, pretty much. And I still do it to this day.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You still enjoy it?
I love it.
Yeah.
I love it. I've kind of diversified the craft into not only DJing for events and functions and parties, but kind of transferring those skills to my own business that I've created as well.
What is because you left New FM
Yeah.
to start this, is that right?
Yeah.
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 So talk to me about the new venture that you've got going.
So the new venture is called Mafana Sound and Audio. I use the word Mafana because it's a word that, you know, a lot of us use, and it's a word that kind of, it's hard to explain because it's a feeling, right?
Well, literally it translates to warm.
Yeah, warm.
But the real subtext behind it is the feeling of warmth that comes from within.
Exactly.
Tongans identify with it and they go crazy.
Yeah.
People think they're going crazy, but it's the expression of how would you say it? Expression of happiness.
Yeah, it's an emotion almost. And a lot of people don't get it. Like, for example, if you're standing up and you're talking to a crowd and then all of a sudden you feel this warmth within you, and you start to kind of cry, you get emotional, and your nose starts flaring and everything else. But that's kind of what it is. And I wanted to kind of use that word as the base for as the foundation for my company, because I wanted to give. That was what I wanted to give.
I get it.
In everything I did, every interaction, every performance was based on that. So Mafana Sound and Audio is pretty much a service that provides music and sound for burials.
Okay.
For burial services.
Right.
Which in my mind is a day-to-day service, because unfortunately we have services every day. And then the other part of it is ceremonies, outdoor ceremonies for weddings and whatnot. And that's a seasonal thing because you're not going to have weddings in this kind of weather, right?
Yeah.
But what I wanted to do was actually give something different, because I got sick of going to to funerals and not being able to hear the patele or whaifekau or whatever
Right.
read the last words of our family member. It was almost disrespectful because us boys would be, you know, as you do, you stand at the back and you start talking about who's playing rugby this weekend or who's playing basketball, whatever. You know, your attention isn't focused on the event.
Because you can't really hear it.
You can't hear it.
Yeah. So you go through and make sure the audio is all is clear.
It's clear. But not so much that it looks like you're at a hip-hop party or a dance party. It's really like subtle, the way I position things and what I provide. So not only am I providing like clear microphones and clear audio through voice, I'm also going back to that base of what I love doing, which is music.
Right.
Providing a backdrop of music. So
you put music behind it as well.
Whether, you know, if you're carrying the body
Yep.
from the car to the burial site, it's the music that's played from there to there.
How do you do that?
What do you mean?
You got speakers?
Yeah, of course. So
Wow.
speakers, portable speakers, and I've kind of invested in real high quality gear. So I mean, look, anyone can do what I do, but it's almost, you got to remember the thinking behind it as well. Like volume's got to be perfect, music's got to be perfect. It's someone's final farewell. You're not going to get another chance to do it.
Damn.
Yeah. You know what I mean?
It's quite special.
Yeah.
Quite satisfying, I imagine, as well.
Oh,
Yeah.
I tell you what, man. First funeral I did was for a funeral director, Ese Tatupu, Ese. And he got me on board to do some of his stuff, and it was a Samoan funeral. And usually I get a brief as to what they want. I want this song played when they walk out the casket, and I want this song when they lower the casket, and then I want the song when the boys are filling in the site. I didn't get any of that, so it was almost like I had to freestyle.
You had to make it up.
And I was like, oh my gosh. But then, you know, I did my homework quickly. I was at the side, I was like, what denomination are these, your family, and what was the age, and blah, 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 blah. So I freestyled right through. At the end of it, when they were filling in the site, the mother walks over, the wife of the deceased. She was like, do you have the song? It was my husband's favorite song, and he loved it. He played it till the day he passed, and I was like, oh my gosh, no one told me about your favorite song. And thankfully I was able to, you know, technology, find it online and play it. And I played it, and then she walked over to the grave and just sat, and everything started again, you know? I was like, my gosh, if I'd missed that moment, I would have been kicking myself to this day.
Yeah.
That was the most satisfying moment.
That's so special, bro. Like I can
yeah.
imagine. Yeah, music is so powerful in the right moments.
Yeah. So I mean, like anyone can play music, but you've really got to put some thought into what you do and how you do it. So you know, I encourage anyone that has a love for music, if they want to do anything like this, man, you got to explore it. So yeah, it's a business that I put together based on my experiences. But also I wanted to provide families and people that experience loss to have the best farewell possible. I mean, you hire a DJ and you have music for your weddings and your birthdays and everything else. Who's to say that it's not right to, you know, do the same for your funeral? I'm not talking about like party music, it's just soothing music.
Well, my funeral, bro, you can come to a party.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, bro.
Okay.
So it's got to be a party.
All right. Why not?
Why not, bro?
Why not?
Have you done any funerals like that? No.
There was a party. I did a wake the other day,
Okay.
and it was
Like an apple.
it was the event after the burial.
Oh,
So
okay.
it wasn't prior to the
Yeah.
So it was almost like a party, but it wasn't like a party. It was just like everyone chilling and having a few drinks, and yeah, that was for the.
That's cool. That's cool.
That was the funeral that was on Friday,
Yeah.
which was the big funeral with all the
Right.
bikes.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
So rest in peace, Adi. You know, he's a guy that I knew quite well from school, and I kind of wanted to pay my respects in my own little way to the
For your
family
talent, yeah.
and to him as well, because he was a DJ as well.
Oh, I see.
Yeah. So in our time, we kind of knew who was dabbling in.
Because there wouldn't be too many people
Nah.
around that was doing it.
Nah.
Yeah.
So that was kind of my way of just, you know, pay my respects to him. So yeah, I have done She knows.
Bro, that's such a cool thing that you do now, you know. And I never thought that that would be.
Well, yeah. I mean, I guess it's not just trying. I'm not trying to be different. I'm just trying to
create an atmosphere.
Yeah.
An experience.
Yeah. Exactly.
Yeah. Most often in life, like, is trying to find the right experience. You know, it's often quite hard, and I think people underestimate a lot the sound that goes around what creates an experience.
Yeah. Yeah. It's a lot of it's by design, man. If you're going into venues and big events, a lot of what you hear or what you feel is by design. The real subtle things.
Absolutely. And you're making things personal.
Yep.
You know, because it reaches out and it, like, clicks with people.
Yep.
They don't know it because it's real, like you said, subtle.
Yep.
Very interesting. Is that why you ended up sort of leaving your job at New FM to start this, or was this always been a passion that you wanted to do, or had you just done your time?
One, I had done my time, and you know, I was getting to the age where it's like, man, if I don't do this now, I probably never will do it.
How many years were you there?
Probably all up, I was part of the organisation for about 10 years.
Okay.
In different various roles, and you know, much love to everyone that's still there, and I still believe in what it's about. But for me personally, I need to walk out and go, this is me. I need to kind of be me and try and do as much as I can.
When you're working at New FM, are you allowed to, like, take on sort of side gigs and stuff and do things on the side outside of your work schedule? I always wonder whether, like, once a DJ goes to work for, like, a station, whether that's securely into that. Or
there are other. They were quite good,
right?
Because they knew I was kind of like a standalone brand, and you know, I was associated with other people and to a point, other networks. But when it came to, like, say, the commercial networks, and say, for example, I was doing a party that was sponsored by MyFM, it was hard for me to be on that party, not from a New FM standpoint, but from a MyFM standpoint.
Of course.
Because, like, oh, now how can this guy be on this?
Yeah.
How can he be on the bill when he's from another network? But then the promoters of the event were like, nah, he's a standalone entity. Like, his brand, how good he is.
Kind of like a contractor.
Yeah. So yeah, there was times like that. So
has music and sound always been something within your family, or it has been?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So who else is into music in your family?
It was my mother.
Right.
Yeah, my mum was like, she was pretty much the lead singer of the Tongan Catholic choir in Tongan.
Okay.
So yeah, man, as long as I can remember, and honestly, my first memory, and I'll tell you this, honest to God, my first memory of music is being on my mum's lap at Aholelei and just and sleeping, but hearing her voice.
That's your first memory.
That's my first memory, hearing that sound through my ear, like just sleeping on her, you know, on her lap, and my head to her chest. That is, to this day, you know, it's almost like I'm yearning for that sound again. But I'm trying to create sound in every other avenue that I've.
It's quite a powerful thing. Aholelei quite powerful as well. It can be, you know, because they go pretty hard out when they're practicing their songs for Sunday. Yeah.
Yep. So, Mum was the music person in our family, and it was just her voice. She didn't play an instrument, no nothing. Didn't hear it. Didn't listen to secular music or anything like that. The only people that listened to secular music in our family were my older siblings.
Yeah.
And I guess
what's secular music?
It's just commercial music, just music in general, nothing that's not kind of church. Mum was all about church,
right? The
rosary and everything. So when my wife talks to me about music, she's like, "Surely you listen to this at home?" I'm like, "Nah, man. If it wasn't church music, we weren't listening to it."
True. Also, I know some Tongan households as well. Some of the music is quite tapu.
Yeah.
I remember working at a supermarket in Tonga.
All right.
We were working out the back.
Which one?
This is Whakalato supermarket.
Whereabouts is that one?
Whakalato is in central Nuku'alofa.
Yeah.
It was like a small, you know, like out Fasi there was a big supermarket, Kinikini Lau supermarket. This was the same family.
Oh, okay.
But they owned this little store in town, and up above was a restaurant, and they owned both.
Near the market?
Near the markets.
How close?
Yeah, quite close to the old Lonnie's movie theatre.
yeah.
on that
Yep.
same road.
Yep.
Anyway, we're at the back, and I think we were weighing lamb, because you got to cut it and put it into 1 kilo bags. And one of the guys had a Tupac CD on that was going. Anyway, this lady came in from the restaurant. She could hear the music. And this would be 1990. I want to say 98, 99. Stopped it, opened, took out the CD, broke it in half, chucked it. That was it. There's so much swearing.
I know.
But I could see Tupac's soul. Yeah. I know there was heaps of swearing and stuff in it, but the music was like, to me, was like really good. But it's legendary.
Yeah.
It's timeless. Right. Yeah.
The tolerance of music today with our elders, compared to that time is
quite different.
Way different.
Yeah.
And I'm not saying like when I was playing that funeral the other night.
Yeah.
I still felt uncomfortable playing music that had words. I was trying to look for the clean version.
Yeah.
Just because I knew there was older family members there as well, and maybe some kids. But the music that was being played were songs that the deceased loved. And I was like, oh. So I was kind of stuck in two worlds. It's like,
it is what it is.
Yeah.
Press play.
But yeah, I mean, I was surprised that the uncles and aunties weren't coming up to the Kata music. Actually, there was one uncle that was like, but I had to try and just block him out anyway.
You get that a lot?
Oh, no, not very often. I actually don't. That was the first time in a long time that I actually got someone that wanted, because he was an older Samoan man, and he just wanted Samoan music. You weren't going to change his mind.
Right.
It wasn't about the majority of the crowd, which were all the younger friends and family. It was really, he was drunk. He was intoxicated. And he was like,
I think let's just call it what it is.
He's like, dude, I know, man. I just kept on saying, yeah, I'm gonna play you some music. And so I'll just like play it. And he'll be like, hey, we're happy and jolly. And I'll switch back to Tupac or the West Coast rap. And he'll be like,
oh wow.
Oh. And then I was like calling over my mate Joey, please look after Uncle, please. Just explain to him, that we're trying to play Adi's final tracks, all his favorite tracks.
Wow.
So I don't get it very often, but it just happened a couple of nights ago that I got someone saying,
not agreeing with the music. Do you have like massive, all different sort of playlists that you use for different events? You do?
Yeah. Very diverse music, man. Like, I think that's where the diversity comes in the way I choose or like music is because of my older siblings. I listen to what they all listen to. Like my older brother was like, my eldest brother, rest his soul, Bez, he came over with my parents in the 60s as a young child.
How many siblings have you got?
I think it's 8 of us in total.
You got 2 that passed away? 3?
3, no. Because I'm the youngest of all of them.
I see.
So I'm like, I always tell this to people, but I think I am the result of Dad winning the TAB and going to the pub in 1970-something. Thank you, Dad. Thank you. Hey,
how much did he win?
I don't know. He won me. I am the prize. Yeah. So because my older sister Swanee, she's like, I'm sure you weren't meant to be here.
You're a mistake.
She's like, you're adopted, And she's older than me, like by a few years. So.
Whereabouts in Tonga does your family come from?
Mum's from Kolofo'o, and Dad is from Kolomotua. So, and also Malapo.
Oh yeah.
So,
and you've obviously spent a bit of time there. The township.
I do. I'm thankful that I've had a lot of opportunities to go there and work and just be there. And I'm really thankful that I've had those opportunities. So.
That's really cool. Whereabouts in Kolomotua your family from?
So we're right kind of on the borderline, but our family house is pretty much close to Longalonga, or is Longalonga.
Oh yeah.
But then everyone else is spread throughout K-Town or Old Town, if you'd like to call
Old
it
Town.
Old Town.
Yeah. That's where I grew up. I grew up in Kolomotua.
Oh yeah, okay.
Yeah,
so
just on the other side of the Sayone church, over the hill.
Yep.
And down at the bottom.
Right. Yeah, so our family house is right near Del Faiva.
Oh, okay.
like where the Aholelei is.
Yep.
We're on the opposite corner,
Right.
behind the stadium, the entrance behind.
And you still go back, well, obviously not at the moment with the restrictions, but were you going quite frequently?
I was
Yeah.
going quite frequently. And
Do you go play at some of the clubs over there?
Yeah, I do a lot of like
Events?
events and some advisory work with some people there as well. And yeah, just kind of, it's a place that I any chance I get to go, I will go.
Mm.
I don't speak it very well,
Right, right.
but my heart is there.
Mm.
You know, I feel like every time I'm there, I'm like, oh, do I have to go back to New Zealand?
Right.
You know, I actually feel that way.
Yeah.
I'm trying to convince my wife when we get older,
To move back there.
let's go back.
Yeah.
You know, I don't want to be stuck in this rat race.
Well, sometimes it's like I used to do this job where I was traveling the Pacific Beach Street,
Oh yeah,
and we go around the. all
you
the
were great on that,
different-
man.
Oh, thank you.
You were.
I was mucking around most of the time, just like I am now. But yeah, traveling the Pacific's real interesting because when you go around the Pacific, you get to obviously you're in the Pacific Islands, but you're on their time.
Yeah.
And so, like, as much research and organizing as you can do from here in Auckland and stuff, when you get over there, some of the times it doesn't count for anything. Because if someone's not home or if someone's busy, that's it. They're not available to be interviewed or to be, you know,
Right.
it is what it is. But I always think, like, when I go, like, to different islands, like Niue and, like, different parts of the Pacific, Samoa, that it's quality versus what we have here. Not quantity, but the pace of life is so different.
Right.
But the quality of life in the Pacific to me is like so much more real and more personal, and you take the time to like every day. There's no rush.
No.
Over here, man.
Yeah.
Bruh. That's like, it could be crazy.
You're fighting
Crazy.
everything, You're fighting traffic.
Non-stop. Your week is almost planned out.
Yeah.
Your day-to-day, like from getting up in the morning to like, you got stuff that you have to tick off, get through. And it doesn't stop. And it's because I suppose because here in the Western world, you know, money rules everything.
Yep.
And if you're not hustling, if you're not pushing to make that,
Yep.
and you would know this as well, like running a business by yourself, that it's like, it's just non-stop.
Yep.
And you have to be available.
Totally.
You would have to be available a lot of freakish hours.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's there's pros and cons. There's a lot of the time where unavailable for family things, you know. But I'm trying to create this business so that I am going to be available for family things. So yeah, you're right, man. Like, especially when you're DJing on the weekends. Oh,
Yeah.
hey, where's Alf? And my wife's like, oh yeah, I'm just playing the single mother today with the kids because my husband's working.
Or he's asleep.
Yeah, you're right. Because sometimes,
Yeah.
like, if I'm doing a long one on a Saturday night, I can't make it to church,
Yeah.
and so I can't be there.
You could probably run your business quite well over in Tonga, I reckon.
Oh, I'd love to. I've had conversations with some of my good friends there, and I'm hoping to. I trialed it there briefly for an unveiling
Yeah.
for my wife's family, at the end of 2019. We all went to Tonga for Christmas. First time my kids have been to Tonga.
Right.
Well, they loved it. They really loved it. So I trialed it there with one of my mates who runs his own DJ business in Tonga. DJ Lottie Dottie.
Hey.
Yeah.
Never heard of him, but
Yeah.
I like the name.
Yeah. And so there is a possibility to kind of operate something in Tonga as well. So this is the thing. I'm telling everyone my secrets now, but the idea is for this business to be right around New Zealand, right around Australia, and through the Pacific. The reason I say New Zealand, Pacific, even the States possibly, because the other part of our business is trying to fill that gap that, say for example, you've got a family, the dad is Samoan, the mother is Palangi, dad grew up in a Samoan household, full of culture, but once they had their marriage, they kind of they separated from their culture or their community, not culture, just the community. So they don't have, say, a Samoan church to sing them at the funeral or give them that cultural experience. They have their immediate family. But when they come to the funeral, they're like, oh my gosh, we need that Samoan vibe. So that's kind of where I fill the gap.
What you're saying is you're creating a business for all the plastic islanders out there.
Yeah, totally. And it's true. That is the It's the reality, man. It is totally reality. Like, people want their culture at these events, but they don't know how to they don't have access to it because they're so far removed from their communities that they're like, oh my gosh, what can we do? So yeah, that's part of what it is.
It's a cool idea, man. It's a cool idea, yeah, because there's such power to like the Pacific Island hymns.
Oh my gosh,
Tongan hymns, the Samoan hymns. Yeah,
real music, man.
Yeah, see, I grew up going to like the Arbors in Tongan. And you would have been to them as well.
Yeah,
and it's almost like a haunting, eerie, and the music goes through the whole night.
But what's sad, though, is that's starting to fade out.
Really?
Yeah. Man, I was
in Tonga.
Oh, here.
I haven't been to a funeral here in a long time. Not a Tongan funeral.
Yeah, I had my auntie's apo not long ago, and I'm not gonna mention names. I've got a million aunties, guys, but you know, the cousins were. I wasn't there for the whole apo, but the cousin was like, man, she was the one that was rallying up the people to sing all night.
Right.
But at her apo, I was like, oh man, there was only a handful of people that was there singing. And it's a sign of the times. It's changing. It's not anyone's fault. It's just that tradition hasn't really been passed down properly through. We know it.
Yeah.
But
our children, their children.
Yeah, their children. Or I don't know. It's like we don't have that person or that mother or auntie to rally you. Hey, you need to be at church for X amount of hours at least. You know, we don't have people doing that anymore. They're all fading off.
It's very different, eh? I heard of a function that happened last week where someone had a birthday and the ministers turned up. But when they turned up, like they weren't invited, but when they turned up, just their presence there apparently is like they expect payment.
Right.
And I was in two minds about this because I was like, you know, like to me, like from my point of view, I'm kind of like, you know, kind of the audacity of, you know, of that sort of expectation, but also as well, like, let's be really honest, like that only happens because it's been enabled.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And so like, is this something that is going to continue to carry on for our people?
Yeah.
Or is it something that needs to like, we need to cut this?
Yeah,
I think it might be a controversial thing I'm bringing up. I don't really care because it's a reality, you know. And I think too many of us watch our parents and our older generation. I feel like they're vulnerable to this sort of thing, you know, and they just go along with it because it's the thing to do. Whereas, like, I think I'd have a different stance if someone turned up to my birthday and expected money in return. I'd be like, nah, bro. Give you a hug.
It's like It's a hard one, eh? Because you're right. It's been enabled. It's become the norm. It has to be done. It's like, oh yeah, so and so's gonna be here. Oh my gosh, change the whole room. They have to sit on that side of the hall.
Right?
Yeah.
Right.
Like, and you're standing going, who is that?
Yeah.
I mean,
I've never met him in my life.
No, yeah, exactly. And it's all because of these parts of culture that people assume is right. It's been said that's right. It's been this way for a long time. But then when you look at it and you analyze it from the outside, it's like, well, actually, this person has nothing to do with this.
Doesn't make sense.
Yeah, it does not make any sense.
Doesn't make sense.
But because of their status and here, you're now gifting them $500. And now your family won't eat for another week. Or you're on the bare minimum. You know, it's like, yeah, it doesn't make sense.
I remember reading an interview with Tana Umanga, who was very vocal about it, and said that he couldn't stand it because there was points in his life where his parents would rather give money to the church, and he literally had no shoes for school. See, but this is like a common thing though amongst, and it's not just Tongan, it's not just Samoan, it's a whole Pacific Island culture thing, you know, and I know it's like the way things have always been and stuff, but I do believe that, like, you know, especially in New Zealand, when you're in a country that's real different to like being in the islands, that you need to adjust. See, like, I think like if a minister would come to like a birthday in the islands, the right thing to do is like you give them some food. But here in New Zealand, like giving them money is a very different thing. You know what I mean, eh? Like giving them like a pig's head in Tonga is the kind of the thing to do, and that's not kind of harming anyone or hurting anything, and that's a gift,
Yep.
and that's okay. But over here, when it's like $1,000 for someone just attending, then I think it like, because you're starting to put families at danger, you know, and people's pride, they'll give,
Yeah.
you know, and it's kind of a dangerous thing.
The cycle's never ending, eh?
A cycle's
The
never
cycle
ending.
of let's just be straight. The cycle of
But is it though?
struggle.
But is it though? Like, do you think like this? Do you think our children will continue to do the same thing, or will they start to be like,
No.
hold on, yeah,
No, I can see in my children like
standing up to it?
standing up to it. Like, I have my father who's 85, and he's never been that man that's been hard for like giving,
Yeah,
you know, unnecessarily. He's waste of time. Why you want to do that? It's dumb.
see, then there are islanders of that generation that are
Yeah.
against it.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So, but in a way, he's right. But then some parts of it, it's like, man, I've missed parts of the culture of just being involved because he's like removed us from it. So, yeah, there's been kind of pros and cons with what he's tried to do with us. For example, the way we speak, we don't speak Tongan very well. Because when they came in the 60s, they were a small community, and they just told my older brother, nah, you just speak English and you just learn the Palangi way. And so right through that 60s, 70s period, then we were born, it was still a community. I found that, you know, lots of other families in the same similar boat were doing the same thing. To this day, we talk, and we don't speak as well as, say, our family that came in the 80s, because the communities were a lot bigger then. So it was just normal to speak Tongan and do your thing. But then the Methodist Church, the Tongan Methodist Church, man, you speak to those guys, man, their Tongan is on.
yeah,
You know, because it's so
around it
ingrained.
all the time. Yeah.
Whereas the Catholic Church is real kind of Palangi.
I see.
Yeah,
I
so
see.
you probably would pick up the differences between
yeah,
my cousins that were the Tongan Methodist and my cousins that were the Catholic.
Catholic. Interesting.
Yeah, it is interesting.
Yeah. I had an uncle that came over here to New Zealand with his wife, and they had like 13 kids. But he was always staunchly against that whole idea of giving anything to the church.
Wow.
And I remember they did go to church,
Yeah.
but when the church would ask him for money, he would tell them, if you're building a church, I'll give you some bricks.
Yeah.
I'll give you a couple of bricks,
Yeah.
but I'm not giving you any money.
Yeah.
And I think that's quite brave, especially for that sort of generation to make that sort of stance.
Yeah.
The other thing as well, bro, is that see, I'm married to a Samoan.
Yep.
And growing up as a Tongan, I used to always hear that, like, you know, Samoans have the whole whālawelawa thing, you know, which is a little bit different, a little bit similar to the Tongan way as well. But I feel quite fortunate that, like, her parents have never expected us to, like, you know, to never,
Right.
you know, and I think I'm lucky. So I know that there are some other families out there.
Yeah.
I know there's some Tongan dudes out there, married to some Samoans who are so deeply ingrained in that,
Yeah.
they snap their fingers, $1,000 has
Yeah.
to turn up.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, but my in-laws have never been like that. They've always believed that whatever we make is ours.
Yeah.
And if there is anything that comes up, they mention it to us, but they don't expect
Yeah.
any contribution, because they know we've got kids and stuff as
Right.
well.
Well, you are lucky. You know, you're lucky in the sense that you've married into a beautiful culture. You understand the culture very well, but then you don't necessarily have the some of the constraints that they may have. I shouldn't say constraints, but just some of the issues that, you know, some of our people are dealing with today.
Yeah.
When I say our people, just our people in
Across.
general. Yeah. So yeah, good on you, man.
You're married to a Samoan as well, eh?
No,
Tongan.
she's Tongan Palangi.
Right. Okay.
Yeah, so her dad, Mr. Faircloth, is very, very much an Englishman, and but she was pretty much raised by her mother, so she's this Palangi-looking lady that speaks Tongan, fluent Tongan.
Wow. Hafakasi. She's like me. Wow.
Pretty much
And speaks fluent Tongan.
fluent.
Wow.
It's like a party trick when I go to like events. It's like, oh yeah, my wife speaks Tongan. Nah, does she Tongan? Yeah, nah. She starts speaking Tongan. She's, yeah, he's useless. He's useless. Look, I am useless, but it wasn't my fault. It wasn't my fault. So every day she's trying to, you know, push me into it. And I love my culture. I guess it was just hard, you know. It's not that I don't.
Oh, I get like why your parents had the whole thing about speaking English to advantages. Bro, when I grew up in Tonga, at Tonga High School, you got put on punishment duty if you got caught speaking Tongan.
Really?
You had to speak English all the time.
And I noticed that with lots of, I know who goes to Tonga High and who goes to Tolo and whatnot. Slightly different. Not in a bad way.
Yeah.
Not saying it in a bad way, but yeah, I get it.
But I do think that should change though. I do think like I think that's kind of silly, like looking back on it.
Yeah.
You know, that English is so forced upon, upon people that go to Tonga High School. It made no sense to me.
Yeah.
But see, it's that whole colonialist idea. Hey. It's that whole thing, like, you you have to, if you want to be better in this world, you have to speak that English, and it's the wrong way of looking at things.
Oh man, that stuff just that's nuts, eh?
Yeah, growing up in primary school in Tonga, like all that history to do with colonialism and stuff, it was really ingrained. I went to GPS Kolomotua, and bro, I remember I can tell you right now, James Cook visited Tonga 1773, 1774, 1777. It's ingrained.
What the heck?
Yeah, bro, it's ingrained. Like all the dates, everything to do with all that history and stuff is taught like that.
Did they tell you guys how he died?
No, see, they didn't teach that. They didn't teach that.
Yeah, that's. Yeah, they glorify all these zoos. They've done great things, supposedly. But really, did they really do great things?
But we're in an era of change.
Yeah.
I feel like we're in an era of change where things are slowly changing, and it starts with, I hate to say it, but it kind of like the Black Lives Matter protest sort of ignited that change to like really, Indigenous people really look at your history, really look at where you come from, really look at what's happened to you, and start to really think about what you're teaching your children, and and New Zealand like really needs to take a really good look at itself in the mirror and figure out like how it should appropriately treat the people of this land.
Yeah.
Because bro, it's disgusting, man. Oh. It's disgusting. But I don't like saying the word disgusting because I know to a lot of people this is their way of life. That's how they've always viewed things, and for us, from our side, we see it as disgusting, but for them, it's either plain ignorance, it's arrogance. But you should always be willing to learn. You should always be willing to learn. And when you close your mind off and be like, no, it doesn't. That's not how it works in my world. Then that's when, with all due respect, those people need to die off.
Yeah. Well, those attitudes need to die off, right?
Yeah.
It's tough, like being of Tongan descent or just being brown and trying to navigate yourself through this world. It's tough enough as it is, and then you got up against people that are like stereotyping you because you're this and that and this, or they like the opportunities that aren't given to you. Not that you want opportunities given to you, you just want an opportunity, if you know what I mean. But we are dealing with a society that still has lots of people that think that way, and I'm not going to pinpoint areas of New Zealand which kind of promote that or just accept it, but it's not acceptable.
I listened to a really cool podcast the other day about blackbirding.
Oh yeah?
Yeah, and it was about a guy, it was back in the 1800s, that came from Australia. He was the son of a convict, Australia, back in those times, and he came across, and I think there were whalers. There was a lot of whaling that was happening in the Pacific at the time, and they went through a time where it was hard to catch whales because there were so many whalers in the Pacific, and he decided to sail across through Ata and trick half the population into getting into his boat and shut the doors and took off with them, and went up to Niua and did the same thing, tricked them, got them on board, and then he's traded them off to someone else, and those poor people ended up being sold as slaves into Peru. I can't even imagine, like apparently some of the survivors, there were about 9, this is according to the podcast I listened to, so I don't know whether this is accurate or anything, but from what I heard, there was 9 survivors that were sent to Tahiti, Papeete, and one of them was Tongan, and so there's a family of Tongans that now live in
Tahiti.
Papeete,
Generations of Tongans.
Descended from some guy that came from Niuafo'ou. But the disease, the work they would have been put into. It lasted a couple of years. They estimate about 3,500, I think, Pacific Islanders across those 2 years. Just in 2 years, were taken.
3,500?
Yeah. But the podcast was interesting because it dealt with the time that King Te Pō I was trying to establish his rule across all of Tonga. And so this particular guy, though, like he picked like Ata, which is right at the south, and Niuafo'o, right at the top, so on the fringes of, you know.
So it's hard for people to learn.
Yeah, so it's hard for like Tonga to. And then apparently the king took the rest of the population of Ata and placed them into another island, Ewa, so that they're closer to Tonga, closer to be protected. But yeah, when you hear of stories like that, and I just think I feel so grateful that hasn't affected me, you know. But the descendants, so over in Ewa now, those descendants that originally come from Ata, apparently there's a lot of discrimination with them because there's stories and gossip about where they come from, and they're put down as well because they reckon that their ancestors were useless or easily tricked, you know, like all these stereotypes there. But it's tragic. Really opens my mind to like the reality of our history and things that happen to us and have happened to our people. And I just hope those things aren't continuing to happen, but in different forms. You know what I'm saying?
It does, man. We know it. Discrimination within our own cultures is very real.
Yeah.
And it's sad that it's the case, but we hope that you know that kind of stuff kind of gets ironed out somehow. But then all of a sudden, everyone's on the same boat when, you know, everyone's flying their flags. But then every other day you're discriminating against either their village or whereabouts they're from in Tonga and whatnot. But it's like, dude, what happened to like being taha or being one for this one event? But then every other day, you're from Uta, you're from the bush.
That's so stupid. That's so stupid.
It's like a status thing, eh? Like
you're from Motu. You're from the island. We're all from the island.
So, dude, honestly, when we go in the commercial world and just normal world, we're all the same. They don't look at us differently. You're all the same. So it's like, get that out of your mind. It's like we all kind of need to kind of paddle the same way. Think the same way. Not think the same way, I shouldn't say that. But just think like, okay, well, we should be bringing you along aside us and pulling everyone else together as opposed to trying to be like, oh yeah, you go stay on that side because you're from that village. Nah, it doesn't roll well with me.
Yeah, it wouldn't. It definitely wouldn't. You have DJ'd at some pretty big events, and one that sticks out to me is, you know, I'm going to say it, the Rugby League World Cup.
Yeah.
But controlling that atmosphere, like, breathtaking.
Yeah.
Breathtaking. Like, listening to, when I was watching, because I watched that game, listening to the music and the stuff that you did was amazing.
Yeah.
Man, it must feel so good. It must feel so good because you've got, like, all these Tongans in the stadium.
Yeah.
And you know that you both are feeling the same thing.
Yeah.
What was it like for you? Stressful?
It's weird, It's a weird one. I can't say stressful, but I guess I felt the weight of a stadium responsibility. And it could have been a stadium full of Tongans. It could have been a stadium full of Samoans. I would have approached it exactly the same way. You know, don't get me wrong. Like, I am Tongan and I love my culture, but if that stadium was full of Kiwis or whatever, I would have done what I've always done and I would have played to that crowd. It just so happened that game was our people.
I see.
Yeah.
I see what you're saying. You're there to do a job.
Yeah.
But yeah, it just so happened.
It just so happened that there was a Tonga guy standing in that booth.
Yeah.
You know, it could have been anybody else. And someone's pulled me aside and said, dude, you know, it was meant to be that you were in that position, because had it been somebody else, it would have been a lot different. Possibly a lot different.
It's an art form.
Yeah.
So you're bringing what you bring.
Yeah.
If it was someone else, it'd be someone else. It'd be something different again.
It could have been good. It could have been bad. I don't know.
Yeah.
We don't know. All we know is, you know, I was blessed to have given that opportunity and to be able to control the crowd and do what I did, which is I've which is something that I'll live with for the rest of my life. But yeah, what an experience! What a time for us.
Yeah.
Yeah.
How did you feel in their game when they finally won? Are you a league fan?
Oh yeah, I'm a league fan. I used to play league as a junior, and I used to play rugby as a junior. And anyone that knows our household, you walk into our house, it's either league or rugby playing on the TV. So that's the other passion, was that I was able to follow a game that I love.
Yeah.
But also that I guess it was bigger than the game.
Yeah.
It's always bigger than the game. The game was a byproduct of a movement or of our community that came together. So yeah, what an experience. It's hard to put in words, man, because it was such.
Was it emotional for you?
It was emotional in the sense that I was part of history. Like, it's like, dude, I sat here and I did this here. Whether it will happen again, I don't know. But you know, I will tell my grandkids, and my kids will tell their kids, and their dad was involved. I've got 2 vinyl records with everyone's signature.
Do you?
Red. You know, at home. I haven't put it up yet, but I will put it up. And that's something that I will, you know, it's my most treasured gift from that event. So
I've never cried at any game before.
Wow.
I cried watching the game.
Wow.
I was in my lounge watching the
Wow.
game. I don't really like crowds. Like,
Yeah.
I'm really proudly, staunchly Tongan.
Yeah.
But I don't really like the crowds.
Yeah.
Like, it's just a bit too crazy for me.
Wow.
But I cried watching that game. I'd never
Wow.
cried at any game. I know.
That's one regret that I have, is that I wasn't part of the crowd that was watching
Because you're working.
because I'm working.
I see. I understand.
That's the one thing that
Yeah.
I'm like,
Yeah.
I wish I was in that crowd,
Yeah.
you know?
Yeah.
Even though I was there,
Yeah.
but I wasn't there, if you know what I mean? Like,
I
my
do know
mind,
what you mean. Yeah.
my mind was like, cute, play, next song. That's all that's going through my mind. What's going to make the crowd go, okay, next song.
Right.
Which is the same thought process that every DJ has when they're at an event.
I see.
This event just happened to have 30,000+ people at it. And a worldwide
And
audience.
the world watching.
So it's like, play, yeah.
Pretty special.
Oh my gosh. It was, the production crew that I was with, they were just like, my gosh, like, they were watching me. It was to the point where they were actually watching me. What are you going to do next? Because I had a shot caller behind me. She was like, Alf, need a song. And then all them sound guys are like, boom.
But you have everything lined up and everything prepped before the game? No, you don't? You freestyle it?
I have a file or a folder full of songs. And because I'm watching the game at the same time, I'm hearing the crowd, I'm trying to figure out which is the next great song
To roll with the energy.
Energy, either to bring it down or to take it up. So yeah, in a way I do freestyle. I have to freestyle. I never go into an event with a pre-organized set. I'm going to play this song here, I'm going to play this song here. Nah, I'll have it there. If it's right, I'll play it. But yeah, so yeah, it is like literally, you know, internalizing everything that's going on externally and then pushing it back externally again.
Bro, it's such a cool thing what you do, man.
Oh,
It's such a cool thing what you do.
I
You could incite a riot.
possibly. I know.
You could. Because you're doing the same thing.
Yeah.
You're just, you know, you're subtly changing things. You take things up,
Yeah.
take things down.
But this is just all part of being, you know, surrounded by people and immersing yourself in different experiences. I used to hate doing Tongan weddings and stuff because, you know, our aunties and mothers were always screaming at me, fussy, like play fast songs all the time. Like, auntie, hold up. You know, it was just high stress. Actually, that is why I was so good, because of all the aunties. Thank you. I never thanked you. Thank you. I never thought about it until now.
Pressure on, eh?
The pressure.
Put the pressure on.
Because you don't want that smoke. You really don't want that smoke. It's like, oh yeah, you know. So yeah. Big props to all the events that I was involved with, as well as just immersing myself in our culture and understanding what makes it move. Even though, like, you know, I don't sing in Tongan, I don't speak in Tongan, I hear Tongan. If you know what I mean.
I do know what
I
you mean.
feel it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's a funny thing. I'm fluent in Tongan. I
Yeah.
speak it really well. but I have a real problem speaking it to my children.
Right.
I know it sounds crazy.
Yeah.
It's something that I'm working on.
Yeah.
But yeah, maybe it's because I'm married to a Samoan, so we generally just speak English
Of course.
in the house. But yeah, trying to force, and she tries to force me as well. Trying to force myself to speak Tongan to my children is real. There's a block. I got some sort of block there. I don't know what it is, but unconsciously, maybe it's because I'm tired all the time. I just want something done fast. I don't want to have to explain it. I don't want to have to translate it and explain it when I mean put your washing in the washing basket.
The fusion together of the two cultures, though, of what you have, the Samoan culture and the Tongan culture, I've seen it work brilliantly with the family I know. So my girl goes to school with, I don't know if you know Devita Funaki. He leads the whānau. He's a great man. So he's the CEO of an organization called the whānau. Anyway, he's married to a Samoan, but their kids speak both Tongan and Samoan.
Is that right?
And the way they kind of are able to kind of navigate through their culture is beautiful. Like their daughter Nia, she's one of the seniors at our girls' school. Man, she can just roll off her Samoan and roll off her Tongan, but she knows the intricacies of both cultures just because of the household that they live in. And it's amazing, eh? Everyone's like, wow, is that what it looks like? So I don't know, there's still time, man. There's still time.
There is still time, yeah. That's a good thing about living. You can always start something again tomorrow. Right. Yeah. Do any of your children have your skills or your talent? Have you passed it on, or? Yeah,
that's an interesting one, eh? I think my son has.
Do you encourage it?
I do kind of. Like he wants to be an audio engineer.
Okay.
So I don't know if he has the same passion for music, but I think he has a passion for sound.
Right.
Like I listen to some of the stuff that he listens to.
Let me just apologize to your son right now if he's listening to this, because the audio on this, like, you can hear the trucks and everything go past.
Hey, we're in a garage. Man.
We're in a garage. That's right.
Okay, that's real. If it was like a fully soundproof garage, I'm like, oh.
I didn't want it to be a studio. I wanted it to be real.
Yeah. And it is real.
So he's going to be an audio engineer.
Yeah, he wants to be an audio engineer, and I guess it's because he's lived in an environment where there's cables all over the place, his mics, his sound gear everywhere, and he's kind of taken an interest into it. So he likes certain genres of music. I'm not really keen on that music, but it is what it is. But I was that parent that was like, no, don't you want to be a doctor or a lawyer or something? Like, sure, you don't want to do this. So I'm slowly removing what I want, what Dad wants and Mum wants, to son, we'll support you with whatever you want to do.
I know what you mean.
Yeah.
Like me and Nora are both from performing arts backgrounds.
Yeah.
We're both trained as actors. Yeah. And like, man, we see sometimes some of them go lean towards it a little bit. Yeah. And we're always a little bit quick to like push them back off it. But that's not because we don't want them to do it. It only comes from knowing how hard it can be.
Exactly.
You know, like that's a path in life that you have to be willing to like multitask or do other careers as well to try and support that career, that passion.
Exactly.
And I guess we're so used to it that we don't want it for our children.
No.
You know?
Sometimes I feel like I'm like you. I'm exactly like you. Yeah. You know, we're creators, right? And we always want to do things. And big congrats to you for doing this podcast, because you're creative and you've put this together, and it's a brilliant podcast.
Thank you.
Because you're doing it outside of your normal other stuff, right?
Yeah.
You know? But like yourself, we're always constantly thinking of other ideas and how can we do this and how can we do that. But then we know the struggle around it. Yeah. You know? We know the struggle, and there's not much money in it.
Yeah.
And with money that is there, it's pretty scarce. But you don't want your kids to kind of have to
go through that struggle, just to sort of produce their passion.
Yeah.
But I tell you what, though, out of all the things I do, this is probably the most satisfying thing I do.
Right.
Which is quite tiring, because it's the one thing I do that doesn't pay anything.
It's always the case, eh?
Like,
it's always the projects that you really want to do that doesn't pay much. I know.
But it's like, the amount of conversations, though, that I've had in this garage with different people are valuable. I've learned a lot of things. But it's always, it never really was something I wanted to do. It just sort of evolved by itself. Yeah. But once I started doing it, I realized that there's a real quality, and there's something about having someone sit down for like 2 hours and just really bringing out who that person is and talk about them that really appeals to me.
Yeah.
And I'm a curious person. I'm just naturally curious. That's why there's no notes or anything, because I'm just like, I just got questions and things I want to find out about from people.
Just let it happen organically, yeah.
Kind of, yeah. Plus I like to have a couple of drinks with people, you know, and in the garage, man. Where else would you want to do it?
I miss that.
Yeah.
I actually miss chilling with like the guys and having quite a few. And
when's the last time you had a few drinks in the garage?
What I said, maybe Easter? Like a decent one?
Which Easter?
Oh, this Easter this year.
I was gonna catch you out there, bro.
Easter this year. That was an impromptu one. You know, it's always the impromptu ones that are the best ones. Yeah. It's like, got to text one of the boys, hey, oh, he's having a few drinks. Yeah, sweet. Get my wife to drive me all the way to Mount Wellington and just sit there for a few hours and just blow the breeze. And you know,
I remember, I think it was a couple of years ago, our youngest was like newborn, real young. So our household was dead asleep.
Yeah.
You know when you have those nights where you get that knock?
Yeah.
The door, you open the door and there's like 3 of them standing like, Mike, what are you up to? Tiptoe into the garage. We sat in a circle on the floor here. What? In the darkness, because my whole house is asleep. My wife will get pissed off. She probably knows now.
Yeah.
But the garage thing has always been a thing, eh?
Yeah.
That's funny that, eh?
The Whaleka
has
always been the place of, I don't know, not refuge, but it's almost like the South Space. You do what I want. Just chill. And that's where my son chose, and I guess that's where I chose as well. People
use garages for different things, you know. Like I've trained in here. I train in here.
Yeah.
People hold parties in garages. A lot of our people though use the garage as the 4th bedroom, which makes sense to me. You know, also use it as a bedroom as well. But give me a garage any day. I'll put it into a podcast.
Oh my gosh! Come and turn my garage into a podcast.
You ever thought about starting a podcast?
Yeah, yes and no. Yes and no. I actually just like listening to podcasts and
listen to many podcasts.
Oh, every now and then I'll just jump on it, whatever's on my feed. Like I didn't know you had a podcast until it popped up on my feed. Like, oh, it must be good if it's popping up, and it was. And
so
I was
it just pops into your feed. See, I don't even know how this stuff works. Man.
Okay, no, it must have been good if it popped up because
either
lots of people watching or people were sharing it, and I just cast it to my TV, and then, you know, while I was having my coffee and reading my paper, I was like, oh sweet, all good,
something different.
Yeah. I loved it because I was able to just sit there and be part of the conversation because nothing was scripted, like you said.
Yeah.
And what was coming out of your guests was just raw, unedited, and it was real. So what you're doing is awesome.
Thank you, bro. Thank you. Yeah. But it's less what I'm doing, it's what you're doing from a cost. Like, because all I'm doing is like drawing out people's opinions and people's stories and stuff, and people out there listening to it somehow identify with it.
Yeah.
And for a lot of people, I think for a lot of Tongans, a lot of Pacific Islanders that don't normally listen to podcasts, it's a chance to like sit with like someone else and hear their thoughts and go, oh, like I think that too, or like I've been through that as well. A lot of the journeys of people that have sat here and spoken about stuff like really inspire me. Yeah. You know, because some people have been through some crazy shit, but have managed to push themselves into places like as either athletes or entertainers or into positions where they're like real influential now. But they still have like a I'll tell you one thing. The people that I do talk to that are really successful, they have one thing in common. Right. Work ethic. They have that one thing in common. Their work ethic, their self-discipline is the way they're accountable to themselves is second to none. You know, and they demand a lot from themselves. And that's what that's what separates, you know, people that makes. But then there's different levels of success. Depends on how you classify success. Of course. I've had a solo parent sit there as well. Yeah. And to me, like, that was some of her stories and some of her struggles as well, really hard. And so where she's at the moment, I thought was like amazing. Yeah. You know, that's success. That's big ups to the solo parents, man. 100%. Yeah. Yeah. I thankful that I've never had to experience that, and I don't know if you have or not as well, but just seeing their struggle and what they've got to go through and to survive and just bring up kids is tough, and to come up the other end is, you know, they deserve every reward that they get. They do indeed. I did have a period in my life where I was a solo parent for a few years. Right. Yeah. Wow. And far out. And so you had to quit my job, both. I had two jobs. I quit both my jobs.
Yeah.
Stayed home, look after these two kids,
Yeah.
and but there's something in my mind
Yeah.
that always knows that you're better than this, Mike.
Yeah.
You're better than this. Like you can turn this around. You can
Yeah.
turn this around, man.
Yeah.
That self-belief, I've never lost that.
Yeah.
I've always had that, and that's what sort of always driven me through.
Right.
You know, and very fortunate now that I'm in, you know, a really good marriage
Yeah.
with kids and stuff, and everything's seems okay.
Yeah.
Seems good.
Yeah.
Touch wood.
Just bang the wood.
So with being a parent of teenagers now,
Yeah.
like, I guess you're starting to look towards the next phase in life, eh? Because I
Yeah.
guess, like, where I'm at the moment is you go through being a parent of, like, younger kids. And you're like, when's this going to end?
Yeah.
When's it going to end? And then I don't know what it's like yet to be parents of teenagers.
Oh, I miss them when they're that small, to be honest.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
So it gets harder.
It does. It gets harder. No, I'm not saying it's harder.
The
but you
problems get different.
The problems are different. And their personalities start to change. They become more independent. They don't need you as much. You know,
Yeah.
it's like the door's always closed. It's like, yo. So, but you know, you go back and you look at your photos. It's like, oh my gosh.
I remember when you were
Remember you're this small and you used to just sit on my lap all day and just
dependent on
yeah.
me.
Now it's like, Dad, can you just top up my hop card and that's it. It's like, oh, okay. Right. Or Dad, don't drop me off in front of the school. Or, but yeah, it is a lot like that. But it's also exciting to see our kids grow and to see who they're about to become or becoming. And all you want to do is equip them with the tools to navigate through the world that we live in, to be the best people that they can be. So, you know, all I want my kids to be is, I just want them to be good people. I don't care what their professions are, but I want them to be good people, so that, you know, and I believe good people, things always happen to them, you know. Good things always happen to good people. I've been blessed to be this way. I'm not saying I'm the greatest, and I was taught a particular way by my parents, and good has always come their way and always come our way because of their values. So I'm trying to impart as much as I can to our kids, and my wife is doing the exact same thing. She was brought up harder than me. I was the youngest of like 8. By the time I came around, most of my siblings were gone, you know.
What's the age difference between you and your oldest?
6 years. It's the age difference. The oldest. Oh, sorry, no.
Sorry, between you and your oldest sibling.
Sorry,
yeah.
the next sibling is 6 years.
I was gonna say, I was like, is that twins?
No. Sorry, the next sibling is 6 years, but then the eldest would be in his 60s.
It's got a gap.
That's a huge gap.
Wow.
That's a huge gap. So, like I said, they were long gone by the time I came around. But big ups to my parents for taking on that challenge in their later ages. And I'm here. But yeah, in terms of my kids, we just try and impart as much as we can, prepare them for life, and hopefully they make the right decisions.
That's always the part that's like always worries me a little bit, you know, the preparing them.
Yeah.
Because like you want to raise good kids and you want them to make good decisions and everything, but then like at the back of your mind you're also like kind of aware like there's ways to prepare them, because they're going to come into contact with people that are not good people.
Yeah.
All the time, and they're going to be around them, and it's how they react and how they respond in those situations that sometimes really determines like what's going to happen later on. Because you know, action, reaction, there's consequences to everything. And so you raised in Tonga, like I was always quite hot-headed, you know, but now probably that I'm older, I see now that you don't want to react like that.
No.
You know, and not here in New Zealand. Like you don't
No.
you don't react like that here in New Zealand because the consequences, like
Far greater here because, you know, in Tonga you can sometimes just sweep that under the carpet. Oh, shh, don't do it. But here, man, it's like, nah, it's black and white. You did the deed.
you do the time.
Yeah.
Yeah, me and my wife have a lot of conversations about this, like how to prepare them for like, making decisions and like, I guess one of the bigger things is like making your children understand when they're around toxic people and, people that might be fake and trying to, trying to see underneath what the layer is and how people disguise those sort of things. But if you can teach your kids that, you know what I mean? Like I told my wife, if we can teach our kids that, then like that's at least one skill they can have, or that's almost like a sense. You have to be able to sense it, but then I hate to say it, but sometimes you almost have to go through it, like coming out the other side or see the bad side of people to really start to sense it, what that's like. And it's unfortunate, but it's the way of the world. There's always going to be bad people around,
I've I had a conversation with my daughter the other day, and she was like, "Dad, so and so's just been really annoying and blah 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 blah," and you could tell it was really wearing her down. And I guess I was trying to get her to understand that, hey, maybe your friend's going through something. You've got to try and figure it, because she's your friend at the end of the day. But try and understand where she's coming from and why she's doing what she's doing and the different behaviours. And if you can influence her way of thinking, not to be like you, but just to be better, then you're being a good mate. You're being a good friend. But if that friend is trying to influence you to the point where you're doing stupid shit, then you got to reconsider that relationship with your friend, whether she is worthy of being your mate. Yeah. So it's those are the...
It's a balancing act.
It's a balancing act, because, sometimes you don't want to just cut them off completely.
Yeah.
If you know they're terrible and they're toxic, cut that.
Yeah.
But if you know that they may be going through things, or there's stuff that you might be able to help with as a friend, then be there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But don't get stuck into always trying to help.
I know
people that are, that have traumatic stuff that's happened to them.
And you're not Dr. Phil and Oprah and all that put together. Like, you don't want to be that person.
But that happens a lot. It happens a lot. People think like, oh, I can help them change. They have that, and that can go on for years. Yeah. That can go on for years. Where they're like, I can help this person change, but it's always like a cycle.
I know. You don't want to be the offload guy. Like, check your inbox. Scene.
Running your business now, right? Do you get more satisfaction out of it than you are like being employed by an employer?
Good question. Great question. It's tough because you're on your own. I was thinking about this the other day, and one of my mates was like, "Hey, how's your business running? How do you feel?" And I'm like, "Dude, to be honest, when I think about it, I've got to be everything. When I was playing sports, I was the guy on the end of the wing, scoring the tries. Everyone else made me look good. Now I've got to be freaking the grafter in the middle of the forward pack, trying to win the ball, trying to pass it out to score the try. So I've got to be that guy, and it's a learning experience. It's definitely something that I'm keen on and happy that I'm in. But yeah, the rewards are there. But yeah, it's a journey of finding out more about yourself and what you're capable of doing, because
you have to learn so many different skills and stuff. Do you have an accountant, or do you do it all yourself?
Oh, at the moment I'm okay. I'm not making like huge amount of dollars that would require like account.
It's gonna change after this. The two people that watch this.
But I'm very, very cautious of it, because I know it will catch up on me, and if I don't employ someone soon, it possibly could be, and you don't want to be in that position.
No.
You see it all the time. People tell you all the time, make sure that your account's at this and this and this. Okay, cool. Don't just have that money come in and just spend it all. Make sure that you've got your the tax money going to somewhere else, and then once the tax man comes knocking on the door, here, take it. It's all yours. I'm still not perfect. I still got to figure out a lot of things to do with the business, but it's a journey that I'm happy to be on. Yeah, I mean, I spoke to Dr. Monique Faleafa the other day.
Okay.
And she's a good friend of mine, and we just had a little chat about something. She was like, you know what, when you walked away from your full-time role at PMN, you became a different person. I saw just everything just fall off you, like as if
a weight.
Really? Yeah. And she's good, man. Wow. She's a brilliant lady, Monique. she reads people very well. Hence the reason why she succeeds in life, and just in general, she's just great to talk to. But she also can pick up energy.
What does she do?
So she was the head of Leva, the organisation.
Yes.
But I mean, we go a long way back. So very, very fortunate to have good friends like that. You know, good role models. Because I look at her, like, man. And now she's heading a division at PwC.
What's that?
Big accounting, one of the biggest accounting firms in New Zealand.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
So she's a very, very good lady in terms of her professional stuff, but just as a person. Both her and her husband. So
is she right though? Do you feel much lighter?
No. You know what? I tell you this, I do. Not on the scales, but definitely hypothetically speaking. Yeah, she's right. I mean, I've never been to jail. But when I walked out of that organisation, I felt like I just walked out of
freedom.
I was free. Not free. Not in a bad
What did you
way.
feel constrained by?
Oh man, do you want to go there?
Well, see, I'm from an outside point of view. Like, I have no idea, but
I guess.
did you feel quite restricted in what you did?
There was restrictions, but then there was also like the heartache that went along with, things that didn't happen and things that could have happened. It's all that.
I understand.
Stuff.
Yeah.
So it wasn't like I was despising the place. It was just like
how to make change happen.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because one of the main reasons PMN or that organisation came about was to empower our people.
Okay.
And all I wanted to do was just put together programming and content and initiatives to do that. Because prior to going to PMN, I was working in Auckland Council in the community development department.
Damn.
Yeah. So people just think I'm more media and media's okay, but it's like I've got a real passion for community. So, and I wanted to go to PMN to merge my passion for community and music together. Yeah, and it was very unique because you don't get to do that very often. So, it was more or less. I didn't have to worry about any of that stuff. That was kind of weighing me down. So I still have dreams of doing stuff or dreams of for that organisation to go and do great things because of the purpose of why it's around, to engage our communities, right? But yeah, when I left that building, when I walked out those garage doors, it's like,
wow.
It was like, yo, who was this guy?
Yeah.
Freedom!
Yeah, but also beginning of a new journey.
Yeah, it was.
So what you do now, is it your full-time?
It's my full-time gig, man. It's my Mafana Sound audio business is my full-time gig, as well as I'm still playing events, and I'm doing some other stuff with some other organisations as well. So it's almost like you said, you've got to kind of
be jack of all trades,
spread yourself. But I also lend my time to organisations that I know are doing good.
Yes.
I'm kind of at that point of my life where I'm like,
yeah, it's
not necessarily all about the dollar.
Yeah.
It's like, who do I help? Like, say, for example, this hoodie I'm wearing today.
Yes, House of Hoods.
It's my friend's label, and they just launched it on Friday.
Okay.
But I said, hey, man, like, I'd love to help your brand however I could.
Where are they based?
Out west.
Who runs it?
Good man of mine, Phil Paletti and Patrick Patillo.
Okay.
Patrick used to be the head honcho for Russell Athletic.
Wow.
Yeah.
What?
One of the Samoa brothers.
What?
Yeah.
Okay.
And so he went into partnership with my mate Phil. And Phil was a good mate of mine from St. Peter's, so we went to school together. So I'm really about trying to promote and push our Pasifika businesses. And especially if they're people close to me. So big ups, Phil.
Perfect. Awesome. Yeah, so they run a clothing label?
Yep, the clothing label was Households. And man, my kids were trying to take this off me. They're like, Dad.
It's mean. Yeah, I was reading it when you came in. Yeah,
so it's fresh off the press. Like, they've only just...
do they have a store?
I think everything's online.
Okay.
So House of Hoods, if you want to find out more, good people, and I really encourage supporting other Pasifika businesses as much.
I
as
do
possible.
too as well. Yeah.
I'm really an advocate of creating that dollar.
Yeah.
That dollar between our businesses. It's like, yeah, if I'm going to pay an extra $2 for this business, then I will.
Yeah.
So yeah, everything from printing for my own business to advertising to anything, I will always try and support other Pasifika businesses, because that's basically how other cultures do it.
Yeah, I think also there's quite a big misconception as well, like amongst our own people, that it's competitive.
Yeah,
but man, like people got to step out of that way of thinking, because it's stupid. You know, like the more you support other businesses, the more your business becomes successful.
Yeah,
do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, don't think you should necessarily see like someone else that's like making the same cakes that you make as competition or as a problem.
Yeah,
there are ways to, like, if you promote each other.
Yes. And you're just lifting up the rest of the community. Like you're helping one family, hopefully that family helps another family, and then, you know, there's the levels and the standards keep going. But
there's things as well you can learn from each other.
Yeah,
there's different techniques and different lessons you can learn from each other that you wouldn't necessarily learn from anywhere else.
No.
But if you're with someone in the same industry, you know, so yeah, seeing someone that's similar to you as your competition is the wrong way to see it.
Right.
The more you, just like what you just said, the more you uplift other people, the more you're kind of uplifting yourself, moving yourself forward. And in the long run, man, you don't want to burn no bridges.
No, not necessarily. You see a lot of people, especially in the entertainment industry.
I've seen it a lot, my friend.
Constantly burning, eh?
Yeah, a lot.
It's like, oh, don't work with that person because that person does this. And
it's because I think in my line of work, like when you're working on like a big job, people are like, this is my big job. This is my be all and end all. But you don't know, man, this job's only going to last like 3 months.
I know.
And that 3 months is going to end real quick.
I know.
And then what?
And then what?
You know, like,
and then what?
Burn that bridge, like that person's would work with you again.
Yeah.
They talk to someone else, word of mouth. Yeah.
And I guess that was like my thing when I was at PMN, is like, I'm going to be here for a while. I'm going to do everything I can. I'm just going to, you know, get out there and smash it. And then I was so immersed in that thought that when I came away from it, I was like, oh my gosh, you know, what am I doing? But I knew where I was going and what I wanted to do, but it was like, now you got to do it yourself, bro. You can't just wait for it to happen.
That's right. You got to hustle it yourself.
You got to hustle.
Yeah.
So, yeah, that's kind of been a big learning thing for me with business, relationships, is that, you know, keep those relationships up and be honest. Be real, be honest. Like, I know a lot of people can like overpromise and underdeliver. But yeah, just work within your means, and if you can kind of push things out so other people can join your fray or join your organization or project, then do that. Don't be so proud to not outsource what you can do.
Ask for help.
Share. Ask for help.
Yeah.
Ask for, which is what I've started to do with my business. You know, I'm like reaching out to other people. Hey, do you want to do this? And hey, do you want to do this? And people have been really forthcoming, especially with the new initiative.
What's the most frustrating thing about running what you run?
Because it's still new, it's a new concept. Like a lot of clients don't necessarily understand what it is.
Right.
So when it's like, let me come and show you what it is, and whether they're forthcoming, go yeah or no. I guess that's the frustrating thing, is just.
What about like a promo video?
Yeah. So that's all part of it. It's like, you know, go to this Facebook page,
right,
and have a look at it and see what it is. Maybe the other part of it is also.
To me, it sounds amazing.
Well,
I get it. I get the whole thing.
It's an amazing experience. Yeah. I just love the fact that, you know, I'm at a funeral, and people are arriving in their cars, the early people, and I'll just have some light music playing. Usually, if there's nothing happening, they'll just stand out in their cars and just dawdle. But as soon as they hear some music, they're like, oh, they'll come over. Yeah. It's like, play the pipe over, and then
that vibe.
Yeah.
And you put them into the mindset as well. You set the atmosphere. You set everything.
That's
and they're in it. You know.
Yeah. So that's what it is.
So powerful.
It is, and I'm proud of it. And there's still a way long way to go. But I'd rather be in it than not in it, to be honest. Yeah.
How did you come with the idea to do? You told me before that you were frustrated, like you know, being at the back and not hearing. Is that what really inspired you to do like your first funeral?
It is the honest to God truth.
Right. Yeah.
I remember who I was talking to on the back wall in Mangere Cemetery. I was like on the wall, and
Yeah.
and by that wall was the main road, Massey Road. Was it Massey Road or one of the roads? And you just hear the trucks and cars going by. I'm sitting there talking to, do you know JP? The JP's a cousin of mine. He's an artist. He's a Tongan artist. Anyway, I was talking to JP and his brother Nano and I think Nikolai, and we were just chatting away about everything. We did not know what was going on with the burial and the final words of our auntie. We were just there. "Oh, what are you up to this week?" You know.
Yeah.
And then I walked away thinking, man, that was really disrespectful.
Yeah.
Really disrespectful. So,
But it's not your fault though. But
I know it's not my fault,
yeah.
but like, what can I do to make a change?
Right.
And so I find myself going to churches, going to events. Can I hear anything? Can I hear anything? You know, like I'm just
Right.
like that.
Conscious of it.
Conscious. I was at church this morning, and I was listening to Father, and his mic was crackling. I was like, should I go fix that mic for him at some stage? You know?
Well, it's something that you can't really put to sleep.
No.
Yeah.
Because we're all there to listen.
The awareness
Yeah.
is with you like all the time, 24/7.
Yeah. So I'm always thinking of ways of being better, and if I can make the places that I am frequently at, like church or whatever, if I can make them better with my experience and what I know, then fine, I'll go help. I'm not asking for anything. I just want people to have a better experience, so that they come back every week.
Yeah. Which church you go to?
The Our Lady of the Assumption,
Onehunga.
Catholic Onehunga.
Oh yeah.
Yeah,
It's a beautiful
right,
church.
Yeah, right near Jesmart. So that's our family church. Born and raised in that church.
Wow.
Mm.
Many Tongans around that area.
Yeah. Well, there's not that many Tongans that live in Onehunga anymore, man.
Really?
Yeah. It used to be a. It was easy for us because we were living in Mangere and Favona. It was just jump the bridge and we're there.
Yeah.
Whereas I think if we were more central, we would have gone to another church like Centuries and
Right.
Mangere. So everything that we did pretty much was Favona, Onehunga.
Right.
That was our community.
I'm gonna pause us right there, Tom.
Oh, good.
Bathroom.
Oh, sweet. Oh, good.
How's the curry?
It's good, man.
Yeah, I definitely want to get better. Like, yeah. So you got your camera over there, and then the main camera over there. That the sound goes into all this stuff, bro. I had to
Into your
like
laptop?
no into the camera.
Oh, it goes direct. Oh,
Into the laptop's only there to help charge the camera because the camera has died a few
right.
times. So the camera runs on a battery, and it's also run. Also, man, you'll probably know this. It's really hard to find a camera that will run for like 3 hours
Yeah.
without stopping. But I found the Sony Lumix.
That looks really flash too.
Yeah, it's not that flash.
No,
Yeah.
it looks good. No,
I know,
I've heard of that one, and obviously, using an iPhone or a device, it works.
Simple ideas, eh? It doesn't take much, man.
No.
It doesn't take much. It's just like if you have a passion for something, you'll figure it out. And I guess with YouTube, like you have like an encyclopedia at your fingertips.
Oh,
You can
gosh.
figure anything out, But yeah, constantly just trying to get better at this because there's always things I can improve. Do you know what's really interesting is that I can't often listen to these back. Yeah.
Why?
I don't like the sound of my own voice.
Oh, yeah.
I know that's normal,
Yeah.
but like I go through and like I obviously like run this through the edit and everything. But then once I've put it up, if I hear it playing like in the car or something, I turn it off.
Isn't that funny?
Who is that guy?
Yeah, I'm exactly like you.
I get it,
Yep.
and also like when I put people's podcasts up and they don't want to share anything. I understand because
Yeah.
they're like, ugh, like I don't like what I said, or I don't like how I came across, or I don't like how I look. I understand
Yeah.
completely, like it's real personal. But I think that's a normal human thing is that we never really like the sound of our own voices. Strange, eh? I think some people actually do like the sound of their own voices.
Tell me who they are. I won't out my friends. I'm not gonna say anything.
No, I'm not thinking of anyone in particular, but I just think like I'm sure there are people out there that actually
Yeah. You just can't shut them up.
enjoy. Yeah.
If I had like really cool sounding voice, then maybe, but
Yeah.
like it's not until I like have a cold and my voice is deeper,
Deeper.
and my wife's like, "Well, you should talk like that all the time." I'm like, shut up.
So you used to go to St. Peter's Back in the day, yeah. This is sorry, bro. This is the one by Grammar, not Cambridge.
Nah, yeah, by Grammar. But the school up the road, 23 Mountain Road, Epsom is where St. Peter's is located.
Good place.
Loved it. Loved it. Proud of that school. So much of who I am today is because of that school. The values, the brotherhood, just the overall experience of that school kind of made me who I am.
Right. Many Pacific Islanders go there?
When I was there was only a handful of us.
Okay.
So everyone was pretty tight from year 13,
Yeah.
which at the time was year Form 7,
Yes.
to year...
Form 3.
No, they started intermediate. Form 1.
Form 1. Same as my high school. Tonga High School starts from Form 1.
Oh, really?
Through to Form 7.
Man, that would have been my school if I was in Tonga.
Yeah, man.
Literally down the road from home.
Yeah, literally, yeah.
But yeah, it was a great school.
Did you board there, or were you?
Nah, it's a day
student?
school.
Yeah. Damn, so you're commuting from Margaret every day?
I did until I started playing first at Dane in like fifth form. And then, rugby was going to be a priority, so my parents decided to ship me to Wintry Hill to live with my uncle and auntie.
Oh, I see.
A little bit easier to get to school.
Plus your evening trainings as well.
Yeah. As opposed to travelling all the way back to Mangere. And it was a great experience living with my auntie and uncle. They're still alive, thank goodness. And the cool story about them is that they met in the 60s. My auntie's Balangi and my uncle's Tongan. And he moved here in the 50s as a kid.
Wow, as a kid?
As a kid.
From Tonga?
Yeah, my mum's brother.
Okay.
And so he moved from Tonga.
As a kid, yeah. That's almost unheard of.
Unheard of, eh? As an 11-year-old. To live with an uncle that was here.
Do you know why? Like how he came to come over as a kid?
I need to ask that question. I need to catch up with my uncle. But he moved here as an 11-year-old and he's still living in the same house in Onyanga, in Wintry Hill. But yeah, he was like one of the first Tongans at St. Peter's.
Right.
Hence the reason why we all went to St. Peter's.
All of you guys went to St. Peter's?
Everyone in my family have gone to St. Peter's. And that, so we're so proud of that school for that reason as well.
Wow.
As that our uncle was one of the first Tongans at St. Peter's. Now there's so many Pacific people there.
That's a cool story.
Yeah, man.
Shit.
And I feel for my uncle and auntie, because when they would have got together at that time in the 60s, it would have been like taboo, right? Like, why is this white lady going out? Why is she going out with this boy from the islands? Then we're heading into the Dawn Raid era and then all the rest. So the amount of discrimination my uncle and my auntie would have received at that time would have been pretty tough. And I admire her for standing up for herself and said, no, this is the love of my life. I'm marrying this man. And
Dawn Raids happened in the 70s, is that right?
So they knew all of that stuff. They had a family, all the kids, all half-caste Tongan kids in the 70s.
So what's it like for them, like with the Dawn Raids? Like, what, the cops are checking his papers and his visa? That's what it's like?
It would have been like...
all the time?
Yeah. Like my dad was... I think my dad was still... Oh, no, they would have moved to Mangere by then. So, no doubt Dad would have been... Harassed. But he doesn't speak of it. He really doesn't speak of it, because I think that's a point of his life, that he just like, it's over. We
don't want to talk about it.
Yeah, it's done. So Dad's the kind of guy that doesn't hold grudges, unless the Blues lose. Yes, but they won. He's a real rugby freak.
They definitely won.
But yeah, he's a real kind of what's the word? He's just real chill. And I think I get a lot of that from him. Sometimes I'm a bit too chill.
Too chill.
So I have to have a bit more urgency. That's where my wife comes in. Get up!
I love it.
Yeah.
Anybody in your family talk much about the Dawn Raids or what it was like for them? Because you would have been...
No, I would have either just been... I was born not long after I'd finished. My dad was one of the advocates, the Tongan advocates at the time. There's a group of them here in Auckland that were lobbying to have those Dawn Raids, pulled.
Right.
So he was one of a few Tongan men at that time. That was him alongside our uncle Clive Edwards, Neti.
That's your uncle?
Yes, uncle. It's my uncle. Okay,
Wow.
it's my uncle. But you know, they were one of the few guys that were helping, trying to change the law around the Dalton raids at the time, as well as everyone else in the Pacific community that was around. But in terms of that group of Tongan men, it's only him and Neti that are still alive.
Right.
Yeah.
It's a tough time, eh? It's a tough time.
Oh, how would you like your door be knocked at 5 a.m?
I wouldn't.
Yeah.
I really wouldn't.
And imagine the emotions.
Mm.
Imagine the hate, the anger, the hurt of your loved ones being pulled from you. Like, imagine if they just open the door. Right, Michael, Alfred, come with us. You're gone. Back to Tonga you go. You know, what the
Yeah.
stuff that.
Literally, yeah.
Literally.
Literally. Like, if I think about it right
And
now.
that's a kind of vision.
Yeah. If I think about it right now, it pissed me off if someone knocked on my door at 5 o'clock
Exactly.
in the morning. Yeah. And it was the cops. And
Yeah.
it was the cops.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What do? You're brown and we don't know if you're meant to be here or not. Where are your papers? Oh, it's at our other house. You're coming with us. Really?
Yeah. All the time.
That is off, man. That is so off. And it was only us. Not all the other overstayers that were from America or England or whatnot.
Just the
Only
Pacific
us.
Islanders.
Yeah, you better apologize for that. The hell? I can only imagine like the heartache that our people would have gone through to seeing their loved ones just ripped from them like that. Like, oh, it's awful.
Also, once you're sent back as an overstayer, there's a black mark. Name it, you can't come back. You can't come back.
No, not at all.
But when New Zealand needed them as labourers,
Yeah, come.
haere mai.
Haere mai, come. Come here, Johnny from Tonga.
Yeah.
Come and pick our fruit and shave our sheep, you know. We love you. And all of a sudden, no, they're causing all the problems. They're draining our economy. Oh, yep, back you go. Back you go. When all along it wasn't them. It was the other large percent. We were only, 3%?
Tiny. Yeah.
Tiny. But because they didn't like how we looked, they didn't like how we act, they didn't like how we sung, they didn't like, the vibrancy of our cultures and how loud we were, move them out of our society. They don't conform to how we were different. So we're the easier problem to solve. Is like, just get rid of those guys. Go back to your country.
Tragic, eh? I remember just a couple of years ago, Taika Waititi got asked something about, he was talking about racism in New Zealand. He was like, you kidding? New Zealand's racist as fuck. And that caused a lot of uproar up and down New Zealand. Because a lot of people were like, we are not racist. We are not.
No, not at all. Not us.
So many things to fix here, man.
Yeah. Just like that incident that I experienced at Mount Smart.
I remember.
What the hell?
That happened to you in the booth while you were working.
Yeah.
Yeah. And you heard the comments behind you, eh? See, the thing is that, like, when I think about that, and when I picture myself being in your shoes, where you are, I have to really sort of hold myself back. Like I told you before, like when I grew up, I was quite hot-headed.
Yeah.
I don't know how I would have reacted in that situation, but I can imagine you as well. So it's already quite hard trying to control. You're working as well, so you're under that whole thing of being a professional and trying to have a professional, etiquette. But you're listening to this going on behind your back. Sorry, okay. For anyone that doesn't know about this, can you explain for everyone what happened? Because I get it, but.
Oh yeah, a few years ago, it was the first game between Mate Tonga and the Kangaroos. It was the first game that they played at Mount Smart Stadium. sold out stadium. I was doing the music, and there was an incident during the halftime show where I play a song and the camera pans around the crowd and just zooms in on people dancing. So I'm playing the song. It was a song called Follow the Leader, you know, and it's a pretty animated song. And so it was getting the crowd going, and then you see this, they zoom in on this one guy in the stands, and he's just going for gold, eh?
He's Mafana.
He's Mafana. And he's just like, I don't care who is looking at me. And that's the thing about being
that's
Mafana.
the thing, yeah.
I don't care who's there. I'm just going to be free and show my emotion, which is what he did. So I'm like, whoa, and then look at the screen. Yeah, that's me. All of a sudden, there's a guy behind me in the production booth, and he was like, mate, oh, look at him. Dance, monkey, dance. I was like, huh? And at one moment, just everything changed. Everything had changed. And like you said, I had to try and be professional and try and maintain, because I still had another half of music to play. And I got to admit, that was the worst.
How are you feeling inside?
Oh my gosh. I'm enraged, man. Like, you know.
You wanted to hocker him?
I was like, Goya. You know, like, I was like that. I didn't say Goya, but I said, excuse me? Excuse me? That was the exact word. Excuse me? What did you just say? And the production manager, she was right next to me. And she heard it. And she turned and she looked at whoever the guy's name was. And she was like, so-and-so, you can't say that, man. You can't say that.
This is cute. Is this a New Zealander?
Yeah. And she was like, you can't say that. And she knew. She read it perfectly. She knew exactly what happened. And I'm thankful she was there, because she's a lovely lady, great lady. And she had the nous to just sit there with me the whole time. She put her arm on my arm, and she was like, you alright? And I was like, yeah, all right, you know, yeah, all right, nah. And I was just like, but she knew I wasn't right. She knew I was like, I was gone. I was in another world, man. I was like, Lord, please stop me from doing something. But in my mind, I was thinking, if I do something, it's going to ruin it for all of us. You know, we're just going to be stereotyped again. Because before the game, there was, you know, our people were filling the stadium, Mount Smart Stadium. If you can imagine the sea of red is what it is. It's just red. And there was one kangaroo supporter standing amongst all these.
Good on him.
Good on him. But then there was this Aussie guy. He was like, oh my gosh, hate to be that guy. You know? I don't know if you'll get out of here alive. And I'm in my mind going, what makes you think that?
We're going to do to him?
Yeah. What makes you think that? And then I was like, so that was a red flag for me. I was like, oh, idiot, dickhead, don't say that shit. And then we got to the anthems, and then the whole stadium sung the Australian national anthem. You remember that, right? It's like
that's what the Mate Tonga supporters are about.
They sung the anthems. They sung the anthem. We sung the anthem, and you just see the Australians just looking around, and go, oh my gosh, they sing it better than us. Yeah, we do sing it better than you. But so that was a proud moment. It's like, man, we're giving you all of this emotion. And then come half time and that incident happened, I'm like, what the hell? In my mind, I'm like, dude, we've just painted this event beautifully for you guys to showcase to the rest of the world, and you've just kind of minimized us to this animal. Like, how could you do that? So all of that stuff was just going through my head. It's like, bro, our people are literally paying your salaries today. We've filled the stadium, not with kangaroo supporters, with Tongans. So that was the emotions that was going through my head. And then afterwards, I was like in La La Land. I was literally like,
you can't concentrate.
I can't concentrate.
And you still got a second half to go as well.
And I was playing, I don't know what, I can't remember what I played, because I wasn't thinking.
Well, they lost. So.
They lost. But then on the other side of it was, what people don't understand was, I think there was some comments like, oh man, there was so much Tongan music playing in the second half. The format was, Australia scored a try or it's their song or
Right.
music is associated with that country. So Tongans weren't doing anything. We weren't, and I hated that rule. I hated that rule because, dude, I know our people. They just want to sing and party,
They don't care.
regardless of the
I mean,
score.
they love their team,
Yeah.
support their team,
Yeah.
but it doesn't like, and that's
Yeah.
what they're there for.
Yeah.
Win or lose.
Win or lose.
I think that's such a concept that's so hard for other people to get their minds
Yeah.
around.
Your team are
Is that
losing.
the Tongan supporters are there for their team, but they'll support the team, win or lose.
Win or lose.
Because like, how many fans we have around the world
Yeah.
for different sports? Blues, Warriors.
Yeah.
Like, quick to jump ship from them so quickly
Yeah.
the moment they're on a losing streak. The Tongan supporters are not like that.
No.
They're just passionate about seeing their team on the field.
It's not their team, it's their people.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's their people. Like, you can see those guys in any other team,
That's right. That's right.
but once
See them in those colours.
in those colours,
Yeah.
that's their people. So these people don't understand. That's why the whole thing of when Malakai Feketoa was, changing colours, changes allegiance to Tonga, you read the social media and some of the posts, and some of these people are like, oh mate, how can they just jump like that?
Really?
that kind of thing. What these people fail to understand is that they're not going for money.
No.
They're not going for money. They're going for their people. It's different.
It's so different.
It's so different. They're attached to these countries, these Pacific countries, Samoa, Tonga, Fiji. They're attached to those countries because of what goes through their veins and how connected they are to that culture. That is why they're going to those countries. They're not going for money. Yes, they played for the ABs, Wallabies, whatever. That was for money and also pride because they've been in those countries for a little bit. But when you're connected to a culture, you're connected to that culture for your life. Your last name is from your ancestors, which is connected to that country. I'm sorry that a lot of our European people or players, of descent from, say, Scotland, Ireland, they don't have a connection to those countries because they don't. They've just been here for generations and generations, so it's all been watered down.
But if they had come from Scotland, 100%,
go
they would
there.
play for Scotland.
Exactly.
They would get it.
That's why a lot of these people that make these comments are like, "Oh, we're Irish, but we won't go play for them because you don't have that connection. You were never brought up in the culture, so of course you don't feel like you have to go and play there." So, yeah, I don't know how we went here, but culture is huge. Like when you're connected to a culture, man, nothing's going to stop you from wanting to represent. So, yeah, that was the incident, man. That was the incident. That was how I felt.
What happened afterwards?
Oh my gosh. I remember.
You had to do a bit of media about this, eh? You got to do quite a few interviews about this. Is
Dude,
that right?
it was crazy. I didn't expect the attention it got.
Right.
I never wanted the attention. Trust me, I don't post much on social media, like in terms of my.
I know you
opinions.
don't. I know you don't. So when I opened up my Facebook one day and saw this long ass post, I stopped and read it because when someone doesn't post much and they all of a sudden post something that's not a joke,
Yeah.
sometimes those long things are like
Yeah.
a joke. But I think it really touched home because anyone that knows you knows that if you're going to say something, you mean what you say. That's what I know about you.
Yeah.
And so when you took the time to say something, it meant that it was something that really touched you or really affected you.
Yeah.
But if for any other islander that like puts themselves in that situation that you were in,
Yeah.
like for me, I put my hand up, man, like rage is probably
Yeah,
the quickest thing, the first reaction I'd have.
Yeah.
So I salute you for not losing your head.
I don't know how I did it, man. It would have been.
Because you expect more of yourself.
Yeah.
And you gave more of yourself.
Yeah.
You didn't react in a way that would further diminish his perspective of who we are as a
Who
people.
we are.
Yeah.
Who we are.
Yeah.
And we're more than that. We're way more than that. So I went away that night. I spoke to some people that I'd seen in the lobby walking out, and it was almost like I was punched in the head, and I was walking around in a daze. That's how I felt. Like someone whacked me, and I was still trying to recover, and then people would say, "Hey, what's up?" And I was talking to them. I was like, "Yeah." But
Everything's a blur.
yeah, it was a boo, boo, boo. That's all I could really hear. And then I went home and walked in the door, and my wife was there, and my nephew and his wife, and we were just having a little chat, still in a bit of a daze, and just kind of mentioned what happened. And they were like, wow, that's not, they were like shocked. And we spoke, they left, my wife went to bed. I sat on our dining room table with my computer in front of me, just like, I need to just offload this some way. And so I kind of wrote this post. I don't know what time I finished, maybe 3 a.m. But I was, in my head, I was just thinking, if I was in that position, what about all those other people that don't have a voice? There's minority groups. I'm not talking about Tongans, I'm just talking about people that feel like they can't speak. And they're in employment situations where they're scared for their lives.
And they're used to this.
They're used to it, and they're like, we won't say anything because... And I was like, no, it's wrong. You got to speak, And those were the people that was going through my head at the time. Because imagine how many guys had lost their jobs because they just lost the plot, they lost their cool, and they started someone.
Yeah.
And you've seen that happen. You see that on social media.
Yeah. People
just lose it and then go. I've heard of a story where this Tongan guy had punched his boss and the boss died. It's the reality. It's real.
Yeah.
So I wasn't trying to be an example to the who's who had...
You felt you had a responsibility.
Yeah, I just said, look, there's ways around expressing yourself and trying to make that change. And any other day, I probably would have tied that guy too. Straight up. But again, something inside me said, nah, hold it. Maybe it was my production manager that put her arm on my arm, saying, yeah, you're okay. Maybe if I didn't have that support in that room, things may have been different,
Yeah.
But it wasn't. It was the way it was, and it came out the way it was. And when I posted it, I didn't expect anything. I just put it in the ether.
This is what happened. Yeah.
Wake up in the morning, frick. I was like looking at my inbox, and I was like,
all these
messages from like media companies from all over the place. The NRL was trying to get hold of me. I was like, what have I done? And
what did your wife say?
My wife was like, good on you. She's supportive. My wife's been amazing through my whole journey.
Yeah.
Even though she's tough and she puts me in my place, she's been amazing. So yeah, I just had to kind of ride that for a couple of weeks, speak on it, and then hopefully it made some changes somewhere along the lines. That was all I was ever hoping for, is a change of thought.
Did you ever talk to the guy again?
Yeah, I did. The NRL were like, the integrity unit they were calling me like the whole week and checking up on me, and they're like, we'll get you some help and blah 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 blah. We're going to be doing something with the guy that made the comment.
Hold on, this is a game between Tonga and the Kangaroos.
Yeah.
What's it got to do with the NRL?
I think they have a big part in International Rugby League, so they kind of like almost like a governing arm in some of these initiatives, and I think because the Australian Rugby League were part of it, I don't know the ins and outs of it, but they were involved. I think with International Rugby League, they don't have an integrity unit like the NRL.
Okay.
So that's why they stepped in.
So when did you talk to the guy again?
I think about
what capacity?
Week or 2 weeks after. They were like, what punishment do you want to see this guy receive? I was like, I don't want no punishment. I was never after anything like that. I said, if anything, like, if he gets re-educated around, if he's working around our communities, to kind of be aware of what he's saying and why is he saying that? Because it's not normal. It's not right. And then they suggested, would you talk to him? I said, yeah, more than happy to talk to him. And so we had a conversation. They organised the meeting place. They said, where do you want to meet? And I said, look, anywhere is fine with me. And I said, look, let's just meet in Green Lane's McDonald's. Meet him there, we'll just sit, have a coffee and talk. And that's what we did. He looked nervous as hell sitting in front of me, like he was... I had to grab his hand, like literally reach over the table and touch his arm and say, dude, it's okay. It's all right. Like, let's just talk. But I felt bad for him because I know he's got kids, and I'd never out his name for his sake and his kids, because I was getting calls like,
Who is it?
And not only like I was getting calls from like celebrities and NRL players. I was like, I don't even know you, but I'm not gonna I don't know this guy either, but I'm not gonna be that guy to run this guy's name through the mud. I ran what he said through the mud.
Yeah. Well, it's not this. The thing is, I think the problem is that it's not necessarily the problem is not necessarily. No, it's not the person, but it's because it's like a schoolyard bully.
Yeah,
It's not them. It's what's happening behind that.
yeah,
To present that problem.
exactly,
You know.
exactly.
That's the problem.
That's right.
So identifying people doesn't really help anyone because, like, you can beat up a schoolyard bully.
Yeah.
But does that change what's happening at
No.
home? Does it change?
Not
It
at
doesn't.
all.
You know. So it's a whole systematic change. It's a change of like people's beliefs,
Yeah,
what people are told, and the comments that are made at home. How parents react to things that are on the throwaway comments about those people that are just da 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 da, and that's how those things get ingrained.
and we're all guilty of it. And I know I am guilty of saying things in the past that were probably offensive, not realizing it at the time, probably because it was just normalized to say things like that. You know, I'm not going to repeat what I said, but yeah, I'm definitely in that same way of thinking of, yeah, man, just got to be mindful of what you say these days. I mean,
Yeah.
things that were normal, but like, say for example, if you look at old Billy T. James videos from the 80s, some of those jokes, man, honestly, you cannot repeat today.
Well, it's the same with hip hop.
Yeah,
Hey,
hip hop as well.
some of the stuff that Snoop said
Like Snoop,
back in the 90s,
Eminem was the worst.
like can't fly today.
Nah, man, it would never work. And because people are aware, people are more conscious about what's right and wrong. I mean, our kids are more conscious than we are. My kids pull me up if I say something a little bit questionable. Like, nah, Dad, that's not it, man. That's not it. I'm like, oh, okay, sorry. So yeah, we're in a different time, and if we are able to help re-educate people, be it through social media or through conversation, then do it. Which is what I try to do with this guy.
It's a pretty amazing story. You know, I mean, it wasn't something that you were expecting.
No.
Of course you weren't expecting it to happen, but I think your decision to like post it and like talk about it, that's what really made a difference. Because you're right, like I'm sure it happens to a lot of people out there, but they're in different positions where they can't talk about it, they can't be vocal about it.
Yeah.
You know, but having someone like yourself like speak about it, just brings light to it, illuminates it.
I can't even remember what I wrote. I've never read it since.
Yeah.
I'm like, I posted it and I've never read it. I think it's too hard for me to read. I'll talk about it, but it's too hard for me to read. Like someone, like earlier this year, I still get stopped during the day.
Do you?
Yeah. Hey, you're the guy. Thank you for posting that. They thank me for posting that. And I'm like, wow, you're welcome. You know, like I'm humbled. But in my mind, I'm like, what did I post?
It's just the fact that you stood up.
Yeah.
Like, and I'll always remember that as well.
Right.
That you stood up, you spoke out.
Yeah.
And it's an honourable thing to do.
Yeah.
But you're just being honest.
That's all I was. Just be honest, man. Like it was weighing so heavy on my heart and on my mind, and
I could tell.
Yeah.
Anything like that ever happened to you beforehand, or no?
Maybe in high school.
Yeah.
Once in high school, one of these Tongan guys he was from Tonga, and he was naughty. And like and this was at St. Peter's, and him and one of the other Palangi guys had something happened, and the Palangi guy turned around to the Tongan guy. He's like, mate, just go back where you came from. I was like, yo? You know, I remember that. I was like, nah, man. It's like, bro, he lives here. He's from here. Yeah, he's from Tonga, but he now lives in New Zealand. So you can't say where you come from. I'll go back where you came from. Because I knew for a fact this guy was from South Africa. I was like, Really?
It always amazes me when Palangis say that
Yeah.
here in New Zealand.
Yeah, go back where you came from.
Because, like, where the fuck do you come from, mate?
Yo. I'm
It
just
always
gonna-
amazes me when people say that. When
Yeah.
white people say that, because it's like,
Let's just go to the local iwi
some.
and we'll see if you can say that same comment to them. Yeah.
Racism, man. Bro, it's crazy, eh? What's crazy to me, bro, is like, humans are capable of like such cruel things. Humans are so capable, you know,
Yeah.
of being so cruel to each other. And I have a thing like, if I come across stuff like on my social media that's negative, I won't click it or anything because I don't want to like, you know, they have like algorithms. Stuff.
Yeah.
I don't want to reinvite that sort of stuff to
Yeah.
like keep appearing. So I kind of just go past it, because I know what it is, and I know that it's negative. But it always amazes me like how cruel humans can be to each other.
Right.
The same species,
Yeah.
but we find ways
Yeah.
to like taunt each other, put each other down, to
Yeah.
like, you know, show people how much better we are than they are. And it's such an important thing to people, power, you know, and to elevate themselves. And I think those people fail to see like your time on Earth is actually really short in contrast to the way the universe works.
Well, like,
So little. Your time is so little. You know, like, do you really want to spend that amount of time or that amount of energy?
Yep.
You know, like, try to define how much bigger you are, how much better you are than another race. But there's other things you can spend your energy on. You know, it's sad.
but it's true.
It is, yeah. It is true. But I often always live in hope that the amount of negative things that we see happen, right? The way media works, I always hope that for all the negative stuff that we see, there's positive things happening that we don't hear about. Because they're not as interesting, obviously. They don't make the news.
Of course.
That's my hope. That, you know, for all the negative stuff we see, there's positive things out there that are even bigger that are happening that we don't hear about. That's my theory. That's my hope.
I'd like to think that we're getting better as a human race. I'd like to think we're getting better as opposed to, like, you know, 50 years ago, 100 years ago. But sometimes when these reoccurring themes are happening, it's like,
are we really getting better?
are we really getting better? Or are we getting worse? The advent of drugs is kind of changing the landscape of New Zealand and to an extent Tonga. It's changing the way cultural norms are. Just the other day, I don't know, man, like, I don't want to bring this up, but there was that video that went viral around, like, some whaikawa and the Skalapu, somewhere in Weymouth, or I don't know. And I got sent the video and it was shocking. I was like, what the is going on here? A place that we consider sacred to a man or a group to share that, you know, that drink through conversation, through someone that's serving, and there was an external piece that came in that was just off, like so off. And to these guys in that circle, it was normal. Like,
Yeah.
are we getting better? Are we getting better?
They made it seem like it was normal.
Yeah. Are we getting better? Like, come on, man, because that's not better.
Yeah.
That's freaking downright disgusting.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
I do know the video you're talking about.
Yeah.
See, it was like, I've never seen anything like that before.
No.
Ever.
I never heard of that kind of, and I heard it was because there's outside influences that are coming into these galapools. They're offering extra, God knows what,
Right.
and then they bring in these other extras as a form of entertainment. The fuck? Are you serious? Like, have we as a people gone so low to accept that as being normal in a space or in an act that we consider sacred almost? That, yeah, bro, that's savage, man. Like, literally savage.
Sad.
And I'm not going to repeat what the act was. There's no way we're going to repeat that.
Yeah.
But if you know what we're talking about,
Yeah.
tell me we are not wrong, please. Because if you think that's okay, then switch the channel now.
Shocking. It was when I first saw the video, I was pretty shocked because Of all the things I can think of, it's the
last place you
the
were.
last. Yeah,
Because I actually like want to join a couple. Like
that's the whole point.
I want to go chill with guys and just. Actually, the only time I do drink kava is with my cousin and some other close mates. But then seeing that, I was like, bro, I'm not going to anywhere I don't know. Like, you know, if that's going to be the case.
Boy, it puts you in so much trouble. Puts you in so much trouble. Yeah. I don't really know what to say.
I know. Right? How do you like conceptualize something like that? Like it's bad enough knowing that, you know, everything else is being accepted in our communities, and I'm not going to point fingers because everyone does what they have to do, but that's not acceptable, bro. Like,
No, it's not acceptable.
nah.
It's definitely not acceptable.
Wash my brain, wash my eyes, wash everything that.
We can do better. We can do better.
Yeah.
You got to use a whaikapa for what it is.
Yeah.
You know, you got to use it for. Well, traditionally, it's where men go to catch up with each other.
Oh.
You know. Make me laugh because I was thinking about the last time I had cover
Yeah.
on the podcast was with Ruben.
Oh yeah.
Bruh,
Shout out to Rubes.
do not drink of Ruben. Do not.
I did once a couple of years ago, a few years ago, and he was like, and I had to like.
He's a machine.
I had to smoke bomb out of the room, mate. I came to bring him like he wanted some mixes and I dropped some mixes off and he's like, yeah, sit, drink. And then I was like, dude, man, honestly, I've in my mind I was like, I've overrun my visa. And then I just went, I was going bathroom and made sure my keys were in my pocket. And then I texted the boys, sorry, I had to go later.
He's a beautiful man.
Oh my gosh, he's a great man.
Yeah.
He's love Rubes, man. He is the man.
Man, he does not look his age, eh? He does not look his age.
He still could be playing like.
He's 10 years older than me. He's 10 years older than me.
He's fitter than most.
He's just so used to it's just his way of life, you know, like his clean eating and his training and yeah. But what I love about Ruben is that, like, you know, like, because a lot of guys idolize Ruben as like a man's man.
Yeah.
Because he's built the way he is and he's, you know, he was smashing people for a few years there. But Ruben never hesitates to be vulnerable about, you know, like, and talk about things like mental health and stuff. And I love that about Ruben.
Yeah.
It takes real men to, like, you know, to be vulnerable. Because I guess for a period there, we went through a time where real men don't talk about problems. But the more it's encouraged, sometimes when I talk about my problems on here, I get people messaging in saying that they have the same problems. And it makes me realize even more that even now, there's people that don't talk about or don't want to be public or let other people know that there's things going on inside them that they can't control or they're helpless.
Yeah.
But it's a real thing. Every person has problems. Every man has problems.
Oh yeah. And I guess like I don't get together with my mates so often, but we do have a chat group, and it's almost like there was something that was bothering me the other day, and it was really weighing down heavy. But it wasn't something that I was going to share on social media.
Yeah. But you can share it to your mates.
But I shared it to my mates. I'm like, this is what it is. This problem has presented myself. It actually didn't have anything to do with me. But someone had thought I was Dr. Phil.
Right. And told you.
And inboxed me something. I was like, holy heck, what am I, huh? You know, I was like stuck. I was like, but I knew there was some connections within my own group of friends to this issue.
Right.
Or to this, I'm not going to names. And so I kind of just shared it with it. It was such a relief, man, because I felt like it was something that I passed on to the group, but then...
How many people are in that group?
There's probably about 10 of us.
Yeah.
And then one of the boys had privately messaged me saying, who was this? And I was thankful it was him, because I knew that he was connected to this. Not connected, but he knew all these people. He knows them well. And I just said, this is what happened. I'm glad you messaged me, because I know you can kind of at least make or be concerned for the other party.
Right.
And it is a mental health thing.
Yeah.
Like, my mental health was affected in the sense that I didn't want to brush this other person off, but I wanted to help
Yeah.
because I knew they were affected and the other party was affected. And so I had to kind of share with a group of friends that I trusted. This is what it is. I don't agree with it, but I need to share with you guys. And then now there's some other things being put in place, and then some other people being involved to try and help. So yeah, it was one of those ones. My mental health was kind of affected in the sense that I had someone else's burdens shared, and I didn't want to walk away from it completely. So yeah. Mental health. I'm thankful for the group of friends that I have in this group. Great guys, because some of my closest mates don't live in New Zealand anymore. You know, they all live in Australia or overseas. So it's like, how else can I connect? And I do miss a lot of my friends that don't live here anymore. So it's like, damn. But yeah, thankful.
That's cool, man, that you brought that up. I've been part of counselling. I've had counselling in two different forms, in group therapy, and also one-on-one as well. And the two things I do know is that, like, sometimes when you're in a group, and our group was a group of guys, it was anger management. But when you're in a group of guys, when you do voice a problem, the cool thing about being in a group is that someone might have gone through the same thing in the past and have an idea or say something that makes you see it on a different perspective. You know, the other thing about, like, being in a one-on-one group, one-on-one therapy session as well, is sometimes you never actually realize, but just saying something out loud actually makes you really sort of see and hear the problem from almost like an outside point of view. When you say something out loud, it's just like, and also it's just like you feel like a weight's just been lifted just by speaking about it. I don't know, I'm not a psychologist, but there's
but you went through it and you felt better for it, right?
It's all, but always it's that initial thing of like knowing to ask for help and knowing to voice something that's holding you down. The better you become at doing it, the better you become as a person. Because you're not weighed down all the time. It makes so much sense to me when I saw it from that perspective, rather than like trying to hold stuff together and like trying to appear to be something that I'm not. You know, but the more I talk about stuff and the more I could bring up problems that I knew were weighing me down, and being honest about things made me feel like I was transparent, and so I was lighter as a person. So I really feel for like people that feel like they can't, you know, or feel like they can't voice anything. Or
they don't have a space to go to or a group to go to, right? Like
100%.
It must be tough. It must be so tough. And I need to get better at being a bit more open about my feelings and emotions as well. Cause
bro, you can always come to my garage, have a few drinks. We'll turn that camera off.
I need to be a lot.
I said it to everyone, man. Like,
it's that I can that notion of expectation can kind of be a bit overwhelming sometimes. Like, for example, I'm so thankful for my wife. There was an incident that happened about a month ago, and you know, I was just trying to break through certain connections within my business, and I was like, oh man, and I'm just like banging my head against the wall because I want to make progress. And then thankfully one day I just kind of took the initiative and did something, and then there was some progress. And then I got home, and then my wife's like, how's your day? And I sat in the bed and I just bawled my eyes out. I literally bawled my eyes out. She said, what's up? I was like, like, you know, trying to do this business is like doing my head in. It's like, you know, you knock on doors and you speak to people and try and sell the experience that I know I can give them, but, you know, certain people aren't replying. And then when I kind of just went outside the norm of what I was doing, and then I opened this door, it was like, oh my gosh, you know, like all this time it was just, the answer was there, but I was too scared to go there. And
why?
It's always just that the fear of failure just kind of just sometimes knocks you back, man. And so I was like, you know, ballsy enough to kind of just go and do it. Just do it. I've heard that slogan before. And I did it that particular day. I just hustled, and then I got, I mean, the gains in terms of monetary and the financial rewards aren't that great.
Right.
But it was more or less that someone was like, hey, yes, I love what you're doing and let's talk. That's what I was, it was that I wanted.
I think as well because what you're doing is like your talent and what you do as a job.
Yeah.
You're so personally invested in it.
Yeah.
That like you're not just like what I do for a 9-to-5 job. I'm selling fences.
Yeah.
I'm not personally invested in fences. I don't care if people say no, whatever, But if you're selling your talent and you're out there hustling, like rejection can sometimes really affect you. I'll say this though, bro. I'll say this, like as an actor, like across all the years auditioning and stuff, you get so used to rejection all the time that it becomes second nature.
Yeah.
Often that wears people down.
Yeah.
But I guess I've learned over the years to like never take anything personal.
Yeah.
But I suppose like if that was the only thing I was doing, and I was very invested in it, I can completely understand like how it's because you're not just selling a product.
Yeah.
To you, it's what you bring to the table, to everything. It's your touch. It's your setting the atmosphere. It's I get it. I get it. And so so it's a tough one, man.
Tough, man. Like, honestly, those little wins meant a lot. And so I just went. My wife was probably looking at me like, "Why are you crying?" I'm like, "Nah, honest."
Nah, she knows, bro. She knows. After all those years, she knows, bro. She knows.
She's like, "Just make sure the bank balance just goes up a little bit, But I'm thankful that she does what she does, and she's being patient with me. I'm thankful for all the other projects that I'm working on that still provides an income whilst I'm still trying to build my business. So if you're out there needing someone for your atmosphere, give me a call.
100%. Man, isn't it invaluable having a partner that supports your vision and your dream? You know what I'm saying? Like if you had the wrong woman, like if you had a different woman that was like, I don't know about this funeral thing, bro.
Yeah. No. She's put me in. She's put me in check a few times. Like, here's a job on Seek that you'd be great at. Right. But still do what you do. But she's always providing options for me, and she's always being really, I don't know. She's that reality check that she likes to call herself. I'm a reality check. I'll tell you if you. But she is black and white.
Yeah.
She's straight black and white. Yeah. I'm the optimist. I'm like, oh, I'm going to give that a go, and I can do this and I can do that. And like, she's like, nah. So it's almost like sometimes we clash in that sense.
Yeah.
So, but then I turn her around when things start to happen. She's like, oh yeah, I see what you mean. I see what you mean.
I know exactly what you're talking about, man. It's healthy though, and it's good, Like, at least it's not the other way around, where someone's just like black and white, and like you either conform, or this is you gotta hit the highway, bruh.
Yeah. So I'm thankful she hasn't kicked me to the curb. I still have a house and I still have a room, and we still have a roof over our heads.
I want to thank you for coming on the podcast, bro.
Oh, man.
On a Sunday afternoon.
Yeah.
Tell me the curry was okay.
The curry was amazing. After we cut the cameras, I'm going to finish this before I go.
I got some more for you, bro.
All right.
Where can people find your services?
You can find me on Facebook at the moment, so under Mafana Sound. There's only one Mafana Sound on Facebook, so it shouldn't be hard to find. On that Facebook page, you will see samples of the work that I've done in the past.
Beautiful.
And good, easy ways to get hold of me. So funerals, outdoor weddings, I love that stuff. I actually do.
I can tell.
Yeah. So if you need help with, just give me a call. Like, honestly, I'm not asking for money. If you just want advice as to how you could run your wedding, or if you need something to do with someone that's recently passed and you want to give them a nice send-off, give me a call. Like, there's no harm in just talking to me and see what I can do to help.
Alfred, Aholelei, it's been a pleasure. Thank you, brother. Thank you, Toko.
Thank you.
Much love.
Thanks.
Yeah, Garage Drinks with Mike.